Chapter 880. Witchcraft? Muto Ichiro didn't understand what it meant. He said blankly, "What nonsense are you talking about? I don't understand. I think there must be some misunderstanding between Mr. Iguchi and me. I won't fight with you. If possible, I hope to see Mr. Iguchi and explain to him. I'm sure we can solve the misunderstanding. There's nothing to explain. You almost killed Miss Nago with tame head. What else can you say? Tame head?" Muto Ichiro sneered. This was simply a fantasy story. This must be a lie made up by the ancient Nanyang people. How could they use such a boring reason to accuse him? Mr. Iguchi is too good at joking. If I want to make trouble for you, I won't use any unorthodox methods. You're not qualified to talk to me. I want to see Mr. Iguchi in person and ask him. The Iguchi members lost their judgment. The leader immediately called Iguchi Kagoro to ask. After getting Iguchi Kagoro's reply, he nodded. **T. Once the two met and talked about it, it would be troublesome. Zuameyen had to find a way to let Xia Choyu get away. But she couldn't stand up to Muto Ichiro. After all, Muto Ichiro had seen her before. Once he recognized her, everything would be over immediately. Your business has nothing to do with me. Can you let me go now? Xia Choyu said, I'm just an ordinary tourist. I don't know what trouble you're involved in. These people have nothing to do with me. Please let me go. Indeed, it seemed that this Hua Xia girl who couldn't even speak Japanese couldn't have anything to do with the Iguchi group. What does this girl have to do with the Iguchi group? Muto Ichiro asked coldly. Except for Iguchi Kagoro, no one in the Iguchi Gumi knew about the existence of Xia Choyu and Zuameyen. After Zuameyen shouted, she directly disappeared into the darkness. Now the Iguchi Gumi people were confused about who had ordered them to do that. This girl. The leader was stunned for a moment, but finally nodded affirmatively. She has nothing to do with the Iguchi group. Muto Ichiro frowned. Was it really because he had been too sensitive recently? However, he had a feeling that this girl had some sort of motive, but he couldn't put his finger on it. For such a weak girl, even if she had a motive for approaching him, she wouldn't be able to hurt him. Today is your lucky day. Muto Ichiro whispered into Xia Choyu's ear, Don't ever let me see you again. If I do, you will die a more tragic death than this guy in front of you. Some of the people who had been pushed out had already called the police, and the police cars quickly arrived at the scene. The sirens were getting louder and louder. Muto Ichiro pushed Xia Choyu away and jumped out of the encirclement of the Iguchi Gumi people. He said to the leader sternly, Go back and tell Mr. Iguchi to wait for me at home. I will visit him personally and clear up the misunderstanding between us, but I will not go back with you now. If the Iguchi group doesn't want to get themselves into trouble, they'd better leave as soon as possible. Muto Ichiro's figure quickly disappeared, and Zuameyen finally dared to show herself. She went forward to help Xia Choyu up and said quickly, Let's go. They had to leave before the police surrounded them. This was Dongying, not Hua Xia. If they were really caught by the police, they wouldn't be able to get out so easily. Thinking of this, Zuameyen's footsteps became faster and faster, so much so that Xia Choyu couldn't keep up with her. When the two of them returned to the hotel, panting, Iguchi Kagoro had already received a call and left the hotel where Su Yun was. After Zuameyen told Su Yun what had happened to the nightclub, Su Yun's heart skipped a beat. He knew that things were not good. Iguchi Kagoro had just left, but he didn't say why. Once Muto Ichiro really explained the situation to Iguchi Kagoro, Su Yun wouldn't be able to leave. Let's leave Dongying now, Su Yun quickly ordered. Then we don't want the chi consolidating grass? Lin Gu was stunned. After Xia Choyu ran back, she was out of breath. Before she could speak, she heard Lin Ji's words. Only then did she take out a small transparent glass bottle from her pocket. I said that as long as I can get close to him, I can get what you want. Looking at the small glass bottle in Xia Choyu's hand, Lin Ji's eyes almost popped out. Zuameyen was also very surprised. She had always thought that Xia Qiuyu had failed and didn't get what Su Yun wanted. When did you get it? When Muto Ichiro held me hostage. Xia Qiuyu smiled. At that time, I kept praying that he would hold me hostage, so that I would have a chance to get close to him. Thank God for fulfilling my wish. He really used me as a shield. So, I had a chance to make my move. Although he had obtained the item, the matter of seeking victory in the midst of danger still made Su Yun feel a lingering fear when he thought about it. However, there was no point in saying anything else now. Since they got what they wanted, they had to leave as soon as possible. If they were trapped in Dongying by Iguchi group, all their previous efforts would be wasted. We've already missed the flight, Zhuo said. Unless we take the sea route, we can't leave the country. But where could they get a ship at this time? Moreover, time was so tight that they couldn't afford to delay. There's someone who might be able to help us, Su Yun suddenly said. Who? Nego Iguchi. After Su Yun said this name, everyone immediately objected. Zhuo Meiyan obviously wouldn't trust a Dongying woman and put her fate in her hands. Although I don't know why you trust her, I definitely won't let you do this. She's Iguchi Kagoro's daughter. What's the difference between putting our fate in her hands and giving yourself to Iguchi Kagoro? She's different from other Dongying people, Su Yun said. I believe in her. Lin Gu usually supported Su Yun's decisions unconditionally. However, on this matter, he still raised his own opinion. Brother, I also feel that it's not appropriate to leave this matter to Iguchi's daughter. What do you mean? Su Yun turned to look at Xia Qiuyu. Xia Qiuyu shrugged. You should make the decision on this matter. I've never seen Nego Iguchi before and don't know what she's like. You're the only one among us who knows her. If your judgment is correct, we might be able to leave Dongying safely. However, if your judgment is wrong, I'm afraid we can only use our fists. Lin Gu continued. However, relying on his and Zhuo Meiyan's fists alone didn't seem to be enough to fight against Muto Ichiro. Besides, even if Muto Ichiro didn't appear, it would be enough for them to suffer. Su Yun still firmly chose to trust his intuition. Nego Iguchi won't betray us. She'll help us. You just need to trust me. Chapter 881. When Nako Iguchi received Su Yun's call, the Iguchi family was already in a mess. Muto Ichiro's visit made everyone in the Iguchi group tense up, especially Iguchi Kagoro. Even if Muto Ichiro knew black magic, just his identity as the captain of the Black Tomb Special Forces was enough to make him very worried and take him seriously. But Muto Ichiro's attitude was very clear. He told Iguchi Kagoro that he just wanted to know what made Iguchi Kagoro think that he, Muto, was a person who knew how to play sorcery. Moreover, if Iguchi Kagoro did not explain this matter clearly to him, he would use his power to prove that if he, Muto Ichiro, wanted to deal with the Iguchi group, he did not need any black magic at all. Just his fists were enough to cause chaos in the Iguchi group. Therefore, he did not need to use any black magic on Miss Nako to deal with the Iguchi group. Obviously, Iguchi Kagoro could understand the logic behind these words. After thinking about it carefully, he realized that it was indeed so. If Muto Ichiro was a black magic master, why would he come to the Iguchi family alone to cause trouble? Obviously, it did not conform to the logical thinking of a normal person. Moreover, with the strength of an expert like Muto Ichiro, there was indeed no need for him to use such crooked methods. Iguchi Kagoro suddenly realized that he might have been used. He had been used by a young man from Huaxia whose background he did not know. When Iguchi Kagoro said the two words, Su Yun, a vicious expression appeared on Muto Ichiro's face. He did not expect this guy to dare to come to Japan. It seemed that the trash Lang Chen had already died. Otherwise, Su Yun would not have the time to come and reason with him. Muto Ichiro was a little confused. He had always thought that if he had the chance to meet Su Yun again, it would be him who went to look for him and not Su Yun who came looking for him. This was because Muto Ichiro had learned the secret of the Zixuhoya girl from Green Ghost. Therefore, he would not let go of such an opportunity. He is now hiding in Kabuki-cho in Shinjuku, just to avoid the anger of the cabinet elders towards him during this period of time. This was because he had lost the lives of everyone in the Black Tomb Special Forces, including his subordinate, 9 ghosts, who had countless achievements. The one who had caused him to lose everything was none other than Su Yun. Back then, this guy was still a child in the Dragon Fury team, and had caused trouble for Muto Ichiro's Black Tomb Special Forces team. He did not expect that so many years later Su's growth to grow so many years, and his thoughts were more meticulous. He had become the most difficult enemies. Although Su Yun was no longer a member of the Huaxia army, Muto Ichiro would never underestimate him. A few years this was something that was ingrained in his bones. Even if he left the army, he could still rely on his personal ability and charm to dominate the underground world. Seriously. To conduct a SS to S's to S to conduct a. There's no reason. Although Su Yun wanted him to die, he would not give him a chance to live for a few days. Unless Su Yun knew that he already knew the secret of the Zixahoya girl. But this was impossible because the one who told him about this matter was Green Ghost. After Green Ghost told him about this matter, Muto Ichiro killed him to silence him. Therefore, no one would know that Muto Ichiro knew the secret. Then why? As he thought about it, Muto Ichiro suddenly felt that his chest was empty. Disappointed, he reached out to touch his neck. Oh no! This Chi Consolidating Grass seed was gone. Damn it! Chi Consolidating Grass was the Muto family's Black Tomb Special Forces team. Muto Ichiro thought of the strange Huaxia girl he met at the nightclub tonight. It turned out that everything was premeditated. He had felt that something was wrong, but he did not expect that Su Yun's target was his Chi Consolidating Grass seed. Chi Consolidating Grass was a very rare plant. It only grew in Asia where the weather was moderate and humid during summer and autumn. Later, because of its effect, it quickly became an extinct plant. Now, only his Muto family had Chi Consolidating Grass. He did not cultivate it on a large scale because he was worried that it would be worthless if there were too many of them. Therefore, he kept the seed with him. Chi Consolidating Grass grew very fast. It could be used in 7 to 10 days. Chi Consolidating Pill could be refined by a master alchemist. Even if a martial cultivator's state of mind was lost, eating Chi Consolidating Pill could help them recover. But only one of the 3 emperors, Huang Fu Guo, could do this. Chi Consolidating True Chi. Chi Consolidating. Chi Consolidating, for people who had slightly damaged Chi Consolidating, Chi Consolidating. Su Yun and the others came to Japan to look for him because of his Chi Consolidating Grass seeds. Muto Ichiro's heart felt congested. Soon, a sweet taste of blood came from his throat. This breath really made him feel like his blood was rushing to his head. The seed of the Chi Consolidating Grass was very important to him. He knew very well how serious the consequences would be if he lost it. The most intolerable thing was that Su Yun had schemed and stolen it away. If this thing fell into his hands, he was afraid that it would not be an extinct rare item anymore. At that time, he would not be able to use this unique temptation to attract experts to join his Black Tomb Special Forces. Thinking about it carefully, why did Su Yun want this thing? There was only one possibility. He needed it. Since he needed it, he didn't step forward to snatch it. It was obvious that Su Yun had suffered a very serious injury. If he were to personally snatch the seed, he would have no chance of winning at all. Then he, Muto Ichiro, would never allow Su Yun to leave Japan with the Chi Consolidating Grass. Mr. Iguchi, I believe that you are an understanding person. You are just a pawn being used by others. Muto Ichiro said, he has already gotten what he wants. We must not let him leave Japan. Bring people to seal off the airport immediately. If he escapes, your Iguchi group will be the sinners of Japan. Iguchi Kagoro did not care whether he was a sinner or not, nor did he listen to Muto Ichiro. However, He still made the arrangements because he would not let go of a young man from Huaxia who dared to trick him. Most importantly, he had to find Su Yun to confirm the whereabouts of the black magic master who had cast the curse on his daughter. That damned guy! Although it was already midnight, the Iguchi family was in a mess. The sound of the car engine circled in the night sky and rushed into the clouds. Perhaps their chaos had angered the god of rain who was already resting. With a loud bang, the sky was split into three by white lightning. Following that, bean-sized raindrops smashed onto the ground. The summer thunderstorm did not have the effect of quieting people down. Instead, it made everything in the Iguchi family even noisier. Chapter 882. No matter what, Su Yun did save Iguchi Nego's life, and Iguchi Nego was indeed filled with irresistible admiration and love for this Huaxia man. Now that Su Yun needed her help, she certainly would not stand by and do nothing. She would never let anyone do anything to hurt Su Yun, even if that person was her own father. Therefore, when Iguchi Nego knew that Su Yun was about to face the huge trouble brought by the Iguchi Gumi and Muto Ichiro, she stepped forward without hesitation. She came to the hotel where Su Yun and the others were staying as fast as she could. Su Yun and the others were already prepared to leave this damn place. Zhua Meiyan and Lin Gu had to admit that when they saw Iguchi Nego appear alone, their surprise was no less than their excitement. Su Yun's decision was right. Iguchi Nego did not betray them, but really stepped forward at the critical moment to help them solve the biggest problem they faced after coming to Dongying. We can't leave the airport. My father has arranged for people to block it. And now they will be here soon. Iguchi Nego said, if you want to leave Dongying, you can only go by sea. The only help I can give you is to find a small boat for you and send you out to sea. This was enough for Su Yun and the others. Nego, thank you. I should be the one thanking you. Iguchi Nego said, no matter what your purpose is, you gave me a new life. Anything I do for you is what I should do. In Huaxia's idiom, it is natural. I will remember everything you have done for us. Su Yun was really grateful to Iguchi Nego. Now is not the time to be pretentious. Zhua Meiyan said, if we don't leave here immediately, I'm afraid we won't be able to leave. Iguchi Nego immediately let Su Yun and the others get in the car, and then rushed to the nearest small pier without stopping. There were Iguchi Gumi's boats and speedboats there. If Nako Iguchi appeared, no one would dare to question her. Lin Gu was quite familiar with this type of maritime transportation. Even if this speedboat was quite advanced and had many technological enhancements, he could still easily handle it. That was not a problem. The main problem was that the speedboat could not cross the vast Tokyo Sea. Even if they were given enough fuel, the speedboat could not withstand the huge waves of the sea. If they were unlucky and encountered a slightly bigger storm, it was inevitable that they would be overturned. Humans were still too weak compared to nature. Without a ship or a GPS to guide the navigation route, Su Yun and the others were not confident that they could rely on their willpower and luck to hold on until other ships passed by and rescued them. You guys have to hurry up and get to the high seas as soon as possible. I heard from my father that every week at 3 o'clock in the morning, there will be an arms dealer stopping at the high seas of the East Ocean Sea, waiting for this week's traders to pick up their goods. Nako Iguchi said, I don't know the exact coordinates, but if my father has a deal with them, he will choose to go out to sea at this small pier. I believe you guys can find it. After the ship finishes the deal with the East Ocean Sea, it will go to the high seas outside Huaxia's Bohai Sea and continue to wait for traders from Huaxia. If you guys can get on that ship, you will definitely be able to return safely. Although an arms dealer's ship was definitely huge, looking for it in the vast sea was tantamount to looking for a needle in a haystack. However, Lin Gu nodded confidently. That's a good thing. Don't worry, I know very well where these arms dealers like to park their ships. Leave this to me. I will definitely find them. When the arms dealers did business, they liked to find calm waters. It would be best if there were some small islands around, or large reefs that could accommodate 2 or 3 people. This way, they could arrange for people to go out and guard the entire trading area. This way, they could prevent troublemakers from causing trouble. Lin Gu knew this because of his many years of experience. Before he left the Caribbean, he had dealt with a lot of arms dealers at sea. Well, even if we find them, what can we do? Xia Qiuyu was a little confused. After all, they are arms dealers. We are not going to buy arms. If they do anything to us, won't we be walking into a trap? Noko Iguchi shook her head. Don't worry, these arms dealers are only after money. As long as they have money, they can solve all problems. This was not wrong. Although money was not omnipotent, it was impossible to do anything without money. As long as they had money, they could solve all problems. This was not wrong. However, the problem now was that the money they had was not enough to enter the eyes of these arms dealers. Even if these people casually did some small business, it would definitely be a business worth millions of dollars. And for this trip to Japan, the chief financial officer, Zhua Meiyan, would not have so much cash on her. The four of them added up to $30,000 to $50,000. The arms dealers would not prepare a POS machine for you to swipe your card, nor would they allow you to put an IOU on credit. Just as the four of them showed signs of difficulty, Noko Iguchi opened the trunk of the car and took out 2 black suitcases. Take this money. It is enough for the arms dealers to treat you as VIPs. Looking at the cash that Noko Iguchi had prepared, Su-yun felt a surge of warmth in his heart. When I return to Huaxia, I will definitely return this money to you. Sky Entertainment Group was rich and did not care about this small amount of money. However, this timely help was really precious. Zhua Meiyan had no choice but to start liking this Japanese girl. When we return, we will ask Su-yun to contact you. I will transfer the money to you as soon as possible. No, this is what he deserves, Noko Iguchi said. This money was prepared by my father. As long as there is a doctor who can cure my illness, this is a thank you gift. Su-yun saved me, but he did not take a single cent. I should have taken the initiative to give this to you. The suitcases are full of US dollars. You can use it. Don't be polite with me. This was originally Su-yun's. I just brought it to you. At this time, Lin Gu was ready. They could go out to sea at any time now. What were they waiting for? Let's go. If they did not leave and were stopped by Muto Ichiro, they would be letting down Noko Iguchi's pure heart. The speedboat's engine roared as it left the dock and disappeared into the dark sea. Noko Iguchi's face finally showed a relaxed smile. At such a critical time, she was able to help the person she loved. What a happy thing it was. Even if her actions would make her father furious and make Muto Ichiro and his master's cabinet members more annoyed with the Iguchi group, she felt that it was worth it. If it were not for her father, she would have left Japan with Su-yun and the others to live in the mysterious and great Huaxia. Chapter 883. The speedboat soon entered the endless Black Sea. The sky was dark, and there was no light at all, let alone anything else. Xia Qiuyu looked curiously at how Lin Gu identified the route and direction through the GPS. She was very curious about this as she had only been on a boat a few times. Hinako Iguchi is really dead set on you. Don't tell me you've already done something to her. Zhua Meiyan opened the 2 boxes of US dollars and looked at them. She half-jokingly said to Su-yun, "Don't worry, even if you've done something to her, I can understand." Japanese girls are very passionate about the matters between men and women. Anyone who has seen Japanese pornography knows that. According to Zhua Meiyan's estimate, these 2 boxes were worth $5 million US. It seemed that Iguchi Kagoro's love for his daughter was still very strong. You've seen Japanese porn? Su-yun didn't directly answer Zhua Meiyan's question. Instead, she seized on the weakness in her words and said, "Right now, our Huaxia is cracking down. Don't go to those messy websites. Be careful not to track your network IP. They'll directly cross the province to catch you and use you as an example. TCH, who are you trying to scare? There are so many otakus in Huaxia. Even if they want to catch me as a model, it won't be me." Zhua Meiyan rolled her eyes at Su-yun. She saw that Xia Qiuyu was focused on learning about navigation from Lin Gu. She lowered her voice and said, I'm already your woman. It's not like I haven't experienced it before. Even if I watch it, it's to learn. Su Yun was so shocked by Zhuo bold words that a breath of air rushed up to his chest. He coughed violently for a while. Wasn't this a bit too explicit? Lin Guo and Xia Qiuyu were also attracted by Su Yun's violent coughing. Xia Qiuyu asked with concern, "What's wrong? Is the sea breeze too cold? Did he catch a cold?" "He won't catch a cold. He's hot now." Zhuo pursed her lips and smiled. How could he catch a cold after being provoked by her? Su Yun smiled bitterly and said to Xia Qiuyu, "It's nothing. I just choked on water." After he finished speaking, he looked helplessly at Zhuo. This woman really left him with no way to deal with her. He remembered the first time he saw Zhuo. She wasn't like this. She had been under the old Tai Sui for a few years and had been groomed into a monster. After Su Yun drove the speedboat away, Nego Iguchi was still standing in the same place, looking at the endless horizon in the distance. It seemed that her whole soul was following Su Yun and their speedboat far away from the coast. It wasn't until she heard the roar of engines behind her that she realized she should have left earlier, but it was too late now. After Iguchi Kagoro got out of the car, he went straight to several members who were in charge of guarding the Iguchi Gumi ships. After a simple conversation with them, he learned the truth of the matter and angrily slapped them a few times. He fiercely knocked the two guys who failed in their duty to the ground. After being slapped, the two could only kneel in front of Iguchi Kagoro and beg for mercy. Because it was Miss Nego who let them go, they didn't dare to say anything more. "Dad, I asked them to do this." Nego Iguchi walked forward and stood in front of her father. "I beg you, don't blame them. They just did what I told them to do." Nego. If it weren't for his daughter's body that had just recovered, Iguchi Kagoro would have slapped her. "You are stupid. You are stupid. Maybe they have a bigger conspiracy. I haven't figured out the matter yet. How can you let them go?" Nego Iguchi calmly said to her father, "The matter is very clear. They helped me get rid of the tame head and got rid of the tame headmaster. In exchange, they only asked the Iguchi Gumi to help them find someone. If there is anything wrong with them, it is that they didn't say it clearly. But you know very well why they didn't say it. If they didn't make up this lie, you wouldn't have taken the risk to let the Iguchi Gumi find Muto Ichiro." Pa. Muto Ichiro clapped his hands and walked forward. "Good, well said. Iguchi, you really raised a good daughter. Humph, do you know how important something they stole from me? Let me tell you, don't think that your Iguchi Gumi can be so unscrupulous in Japan in the future. If you help the Huaxia people, you are going against the cabinet." Although Iguchi Kagoro knew that he was in the wrong, he wasn't a small figure after all. Facing Muto Ichiro's scolding, he didn't hesitate to retaliate. "You don't have the right to teach me a lesson. Muto Ichiro, you should be very clear about your identity. Even if the cabinet wants to do something to my Iguchi Gumi in the future, it's not up to you to say anything in front of me. I, Iguchi Kagoro, have been a real martial artist by the side of the Emperor of Japan for generations. And you are just a bastard child of Hua Xia's lackey." Faced with Iguchi Kagoro's humiliation, what could Muto Ichiro do? Iguchi Kagoro was right. His Iguchi Gumi being so powerful had a lot to do with his ancestors' achievements. In Japan, if the emperor gave the Iguchi family face, everyone had to give him face. Even if they wanted to convict Iguchi Kagoro, it would have to be decided by the emperor. It wouldn't be Muto Ichiro's turn. Muto Ichiro had first lost the Black Tomb Special Forces, and now he had lost the vital chi consolidating grass seed. This might mean that the Black Tomb Special Forces would completely disappear from now on, unable to be formed again. And he didn't have the guts to meet his master. All of this was thanks to Su Yun. It was all because of that damn bastard that he had become like this. Fine. Then don't blame me, Muto Ichiro, for being ruthless. Originally, he had wanted to wait for a year to collect enough clues and information before fighting for the little girl from the Zixahoya tribe. But now, it seemed that he couldn't wait any longer. If he waited any longer, he would have no hope of winning next year. Mr. Iguchi, you will definitely regret everything you've done today. Muto Ichiro didn't dare to fall out with Iguchi Kagoro directly. Go back and educate your daughter well. Maybe one day, she will also give birth to the bastard child you're talking about with Huaxia. Faced with Muto Ichiro's ridicule, Iguchi Kagoro's heart ached. Of course, he knew his own daughter. If Nanako hadn't fallen in love with Su-yun, she wouldn't have taken such a big risk to send them away. Sigh, fate makes fools of people. If it weren't for Muto Ichiro's status as the cabinet master, Iguchi Kagoro would have slapped him. But he couldn't do it, even though he had the emperor's protection. But he definitely couldn't fall out with the cabinet. Iguchi Kagoro wasn't an impulsive young man. He was an old fox who had been polished by social relations. You can only blame yourself for losing something. After Iguchi Kagoro finished speaking, he snorted heavily and left the dock with his daughter. Chapter 884. With a great captain like Lin Gu, they quickly sailed the ship into the open sea. Because of Lin Ji's experience and accurate judgment, it wasn't difficult to find the arms merchant ship anchored in the Japanese sea. Although it was dark on the sea, Lin Gu didn't disappoint. He pointed at the shadow of the huge ship not far away and said, "I think we've found it." Su-yun prepared 2 boxes of US dollars. These 2 boxes were their tickets. Without them, the other party wouldn't even let them board the ship. People who were in the arms business were bound to have ruthless mercenaries around them. These tough guys who had experienced the rain of bullets wouldn't be afraid of any confrontation or the threat of death. Playing tough with them was definitely not a wise choice. This was something that Su-yun was very clear about. Soon, Lin Gu flashed the lights rhythmically. He used the most basic signal of the black market on the sea to signal to the other party that they were here to talk business. 3 rapid flashes, followed by 2 slow flashes. This repeated 3 times. Suddenly, the arms merchant ship shot dazzling lights at them. "When did you make an appointment? Who ordered the goods?" The people on the arms merchant ship saw that it was only a small speedboat. They were obviously surprised. How many weapons could such a small boat carry? They probably couldn't even fit a few 100,000 worth of arms. They had never done small business before. Only a business worth at least $2 million was worth stopping the ship. Any business worth more than $2 million would require at least a small merchant ship to pick up the goods. A speedboat was simply unrealistic. "We didn't make an appointment or order." Su-yun was honest. He could hear the standard London accent of the person on the arms merchant ship. He was probably the leader of the foreign mercenaries on the ship. Hearing that there was no appointment or order, the sound of bullets being loaded immediately came from the ship. Su-yun didn't know how many people on the ship were pointing guns at them. He cooperatively spread out his arms and gestured to the people on the ship. He didn't have any bad intentions. "I don't have any weapons, and I'm not looking for trouble. We're here to give you money." Giving him money? The mercenaries on the ship still didn't relax their vigilance. Su-yun signaled with his eyes for Lin Gu to open the 2 boxes of US dollars for them to see. Lin Gu slowed down as much as possible and slowly opened the 2 boxes of US dollars under the spotlight. When the people on the arms merchant ship saw the money, they softened their attitude towards Su-yun and the others. "What do you want?" "We just want to hitch a ride." Su-yun said, "We don't need any weapons. We're just taking a boat on the way. This money should be enough for us to buy tickets, right? With such a big ship like yours, you don't even care about carrying a few more people." "Wait a moment." The people on the ship didn't dare to make a decision on their own. They immediately went to inform their real leader. About 15 minutes later, the man brought good news to Su-yun and the others. The boss decided to let them board the ship, but they first sent someone to check if the 2 boxes of US dollars were real. After confirming that there was no problem with the money, they let them board the ship one after another. Their speedboats were also tied to the side of the ship. After all, this was an arms merchant ship. When Su-yun and the others boarded the deck, more than a dozen black muzzles were pointed at their heads. They suddenly felt like they had boarded a pirate ship and couldn't get off. Their 2 boxes of US dollars had also been confiscated. Brother, I think we've already made things clear. There's no need to be like this, right? Su Yun smiled and tried to be as relaxed as possible as he spoke to the leader of the group of mercenaries. The foreign mercenaries had a variety of skin colors. There were hairy Caucasians, black non-Americans, and of course, there were also Asians who had the same skin color as Su Yun and the others. They all had one thing in common: they had experienced the baptism of war, and their resolute eyes and ferocious expressions. These brave men who only had contact with women for a long time were clearly more interested in Zhuo Meiyan and Xia Qiuyu than Su Yun and Lin Gu. Their eyes constantly sized up the 2 goddesses of Hua Xia. This made Xia Qiuyu very uncomfortable. Zhuo Meiyan's gaze was even colder as she looked at the mercenaries. This white-lipped bamboo snake's aura definitely made the mercenaries present frown. Although they desired women very much, no one dared to do anything disrespectful or flirtatious. The leader was a standard Caucasian man. He frowned. The 4 people standing in front of him were definitely not ordinary people. Even when surrounded by guns, they didn't reveal any panic in their eyes. How did you know our ship would go to Hua Xia? Who are you people? If your boss didn't believe us, then he wouldn't have let us on the ship. Su Yun smiled. You're looking for money, we're looking for a sea route. If we can satisfy each other's needs, then we're friends who can cooperate. Now that you've taken the money, you won't go back on your word, right? Our boss isn't that kind of person, but you still have to explain clearly to us who you are. Otherwise you'll throw us into the sea. Zhuo Meiyan sneered. You'll have to pay a price for that. You're such a beautiful woman, we wouldn't be willing to throw you into the sea. A black mercenary said with a smile, but I'm afraid your 2 male companions won't be so lucky. Su Yun didn't want Zhuo Meiyan to have a conflict with the other party. He stopped Zhuo Meiyan from continuing and said to the leader of the mercenaries, You're not suspecting that we're some kind of international police, right? International police wouldn't bring millions of dollars to board the ship and let you do whatever you want. If we had other options, we wouldn't have taken this risk. Your boss took our money, so you should let us see him. Lin Gu said, We don't want to waste time explaining things to you. When the armed mercenaries heard Lin Ji's words, they rudely said, Who do you think our boss is? Do you think anyone can see him just because they want to? Shut your mouth, or I'll stuff it up with my socks. Okay. Why don't you give it a try? Lin Gu glared. Su Yun patted Lin Ji's shoulder, indicating that he shouldn't quarrel unnecessarily. He then said to the white leader, We're not here to quarrel with money, but if you really want to do anything to us, I'm afraid you'll have to pay a big price. I know you don't believe us, and I don't want to explain too much. You can arrange for people to watch us. Just let us off the ship when we reach Hua Xia's waters. Check if they have any weapons on them. This person didn't seem to want to talk nonsense. Someone immediately went up to Su Yun's waist and ankles, but Zhuo Meiyan and Xia Qiuyu firmly refused to be touched. I'm afraid that's not up to you. The black man who had shown a strong interest in Zhuo Meiyan from the beginning said coldly as he walked towards Zhuo Meiyan. Zhuo Meiyan definitely wouldn't compromise on this matter. If this person dared to touch them, she wouldn't just sit and wait. Although these mercenaries were well built, they weren't a match for her and Lin Gu. Chapter 885. Sure enough, as soon as Su Yun finished speaking, Zhuo Meiyan made the first move. With a cracking sound, the black man's arm was broken by Zhuo Meiyan. He immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. Following that, Zhuo Meiyan had already snatched the assault rifle from the black man's hand and pointed it directly at his chin. I hope your gun won't go off by accident. Zhuo Meiyan laughed coldly. At this moment, all the mercenaries on the deck were ready to attack. Everyone pointed their weapons at Su Yun and the other 3. Lin Gu wouldn't let them be at a disadvantage. Without Su Yun saying anything, he had already made his move. Before the mercenaries could react, Lin Gu had already grabbed their throats. Lin Gu had also taken out the gun at his waist and pointed it at his temple. Lin Ji's voice wasn't loud, but it was filled with authority. "Tell your men to put down their guns." The mercenaries who had been in control of the situation were more or less at a loss. After all, their captain was being controlled, so no one dared to make a move. The white man who was controlled by Lin Gu was surprised, but he didn't panic. After drinking with the Grim Reaper, he didn't want to face death, but he didn't fear it either. "What you're doing isn't good for anyone. If you shoot, you'll be the ones who can't leave this ship. Shut up. You don't have the right to speak here." Lin Gu didn't think that this guy would dare to threaten him when his life was in his hands. "If your men dare to make a move, whether we leave or not, you're destined to go to hell. Tell them to put down their guns." "I'm afraid I can't make that decision," the guy controlled by Lin Gu said calmly. It wasn't that Su Yun hadn't been in this kind of situation before, but he was worried about Xia Qiuyu. Xia Qiuyu didn't have much experience in the world. She would definitely panic if she was dragged into this kind of situation. Moreover, if they really did fight with these mercenaries, he wouldn't have a problem protecting himself, but whether or not he could protect Xia Qiuyu was a serious problem. Seeing that the battle was about to break out, a clear and mellow voice came from behind everyone. "Put down your guns." All the mercenaries on the deck slowly lowered their weapons when they heard this. No one questioned this order. Su Yun would never have guessed that the employer of this group of mercenaries, the leader of this merchant ship's arms dealer, was actually a woman. Lin Gu and Zhua Meiyen's surprise wasn't any less than Su Yun's. When the woman's voice was heard, they were startled. To think that a woman would have such courage to lead such a group of burly mercenaries. Everyone's gaze followed the voice. Not far away, a man and a woman slowly walked over. The woman walking in front was only about 25 years old. Her loose camouflage pants and quick-drying short-sleeved t-shirt gave her a completely different temperament from her peers. Her short hair seemed to suit her temperament very well. Although the man standing behind her was as fierce as a tiger, his aura was not as dazzling as hers. "Those who give us money are all guests. Have you forgotten what I said?" The woman's tone sounded like she was describing a very simple principle, but it was filled with undeniable authority. She only casually glanced at Zhua Meiyen and Xia Qiuyu before continuing, "They're wearing such thin clothes. How could they hide weapons on them? If you want women, you can go to Japan now. There are plenty of women in the brothels there. You'd better pray that you don't get sucked dry." In the face of the woman's calm reprimand, all the mercenaries fell silent. The black man who had a gun pointed at his throat was like a frosted eggplant. What a strong aura. Su Yun couldn't help but sigh. All this time, Su Yun felt that there weren't many women in the world who could match up to Zhua Meiyen and Yi Fala's aura. However, the woman standing in front of him right now had an aura that was even stronger than Zhua Meiyen and Yi Fala's. "Hello, let me introduce myself." The woman seemed to be able to tell at a glance that Su Yun was the core of the four of them. She walked in front of Su Yun and said, "I'm Gu Chia. This ship is mine. So, if you have anything to say, just say it to me. Can you let go of my man now?" Gu Chia and Su Yun were stunned. "Hua Xia." Her voice was unquestionable. Lin Gu subconsciously let go of the white man. Of course, he didn't hand over the gun in his hand. Who knew what would happen in the next second? "If I let go of your man, I won't have any bargaining chips to talk to you." Zhua Meiyen didn't let go of the bastard who wanted to take advantage of her. Gu Chia smiled slightly. "Do you think he's a bargaining chip?" These words made Zhua Meiyen completely lose her temper. He was just a mercenary. Being hired by her was equivalent to selling his life to her. He deserved to die. Thinking of this, Zhua Meiyen angrily kicked the black man away. Because of Zhua Meiyen's extraordinary skills, the black man only glared at her unwillingly after being kicked away. "He didn't do anything stupid. This way, we can sit down and talk peacefully." Gu Chia still had a smile on her face. She didn't turn her back on them. Su Yun asked tentatively, "Are you from Hua Xia?" Because there were too many international friends on this ship, they had been communicating in English since boarding, so Su Yun wasn't sure if Gu Chia was Chinese. Gu Chia was stunned. Her Chinese was as fluent as her English. You're not Japanese? Of course not. Lin Gu breathed a sigh of relief. The boss of this ship was actually a tomboy from Huaxia. Lin Gu naturally denied being Japanese. Hello, I'm Su Yun. This is my brother, Lin Gu. Su Yun introduced her to Gu Chia. She's Xia Qiuyu. I'm Zhua Meiyan. Zhua Meiyan introduced herself before Su Yun could do so. Gu Chia was stunned for a moment. Then, she made an inviting gesture. The wind on the deck is a little cold. I think we can talk inside. Su Yun and the others were naturally more than happy to do so. Then, Gu Chia arranged for the white mercenary leader, Owen, to take care of the rest. There were still 2 deals to be completed later, so she wouldn't appear. If the other party played any tricks, Owen would know what to do without Gu Chia's instructions. Such a large cargo ship was actually led by a 25-year-old girl. Su Yun's heart was filled with shock and astonishment. However, he had never heard of such a strong woman in Huaxia. From Lin Gu and Zhua Meiyan's eyes, Su Yun could see that they were as shocked as he was. They were also puzzled that they had never heard of such a person. The room Gu Chia used to entertain the guests was not bad. At least, it was quite rare to have such a place on a ship. The sofa and coffee table were all fixed to the ship. Even if the ship swayed due to the wind and waves, it wouldn't move. Chapter 886. Gu Chia could see their confusion and continued to introduce herself without waiting for them to ask. I'm from Huaxia, but I grew up in Canada with my parents. The Chinese in Canada have a common circle called the Big Circle. I've always lived in the Big Circle, and my father, Gu Guolong, is the leader of the Big Circle. So, you've never lived in Huaxia? Su Yun smiled slightly. Although this girl had a strong aura, she wasn't an unreasonable person. When she talked to him, she was somewhat educated and reasonable. Gu Chia nodded. Yes, I was born in Vancouver and have been studying in Toronto. 3 years ago, I got involved in the family business and have been in charge of the firearms business. It can be said that not only have I never lived in Huaxia, but I've also never set foot in Huaxia. Because of my business, I'm afraid Huaxia won't welcome me. The firearms business was indeed not welcome in Huaxia. Huaxia wasn't like Europe and America, where the gap between rich and poor was relatively large, so the class conflict was more acute. Even in developed countries like Europe and America, where the gap between rich and poor was relatively small, there were as many gun murders as the stars in the sky every year, not to mention Huaxia. This was why Huaxia had to ban guns. Of course, there were other reasons. The United States allowed its citizens to carry guns. On one hand, it was because they were originally a nation that worshipped martial arts. On the other hand, they were concerned about human rights. This was a national issue, a national issue. It wasn't something that could be explained in 1 or 2 sentences. Su Yun. Gu Chia looked at Su Yun and called out his name as if talking to herself. Then she smiled. I've heard of you and seen you before. Su Yun was stunned. He hadn't even been to Canada, let alone Vancouver and Toronto. How could Gu Chia have heard of him? Canada was a special country, so even if some felons escaped there, the country had never arranged for them to carry out missions there. So Su Yun was very surprised that Gu Chia said she had heard of him. When I said I've seen you before, it was in the newspaper. I'm surprised to see you here, because not long ago, the world's major media outlets were scrambling to report that Sky Entertainment Group was going to take over Hollywood. Gu Chia continued, compared to those, your news is more interesting. You haven't even been officially appointed, but you've already slept with 2 famous female celebrities. When Su Yun heard this, he felt relieved, but at the same time, he couldn't help but feel awkward. This is a complete misunderstanding. It's true that good news never leaves the house, but bad news spreads far and wide. Zhua Meiyan shook her head helplessly. Who would have thought that this news would spread so far? This time, Su Yun's name was really resounding internationally. It looks like you guys aren't trying to create hype? Gu Chia looked at Zhua Meiyan. Vice President of Sky Entertainment Group. Haha. Former President. You're amazing. You're able to turn Sky Entertainment Group into an international entertainment company. You're better than the other entertainment giants. Zhua Meiyan shrugged. Thank you for the compliment. Lin Gu pointed at himself. He was even more curious about Gu Chia. This woman was simply omniscient. Then, do you know me? However, Gu Chia shook her head and said bluntly, no. Lin Gu was a little disappointed. It looked like his international influence wasn't big enough. Why are you guys here? Gu Chia asked curiously. I really don't understand. At first, I thought that there were Japanese trying to play tricks on me. I didn't expect to run into you guys. We ran into some trouble in Japan. Su Yun didn't want to explain too much. Then, we came here by accident. We had no choice. If we could still stay in Japan, we wouldn't have taken the risk to hitch a ride with an arms dealer. Gu Chia nodded to show that she understood. Indeed, if you weren't desperate, no one would do something as crazy as you guys. Fortunately, you met me. If you met someone else, I'm afraid you'd really regret it. Why do you say that? Xia Choyu finally calmed herself down. Gu Chia's words made her feel scared again. 5 million USD isn't a small amount in front of anyone, Gu Chia said. Gu Chia said, if you were Japanese, I might have already ordered my men to get rid of you. Although this money isn't much to me, it's still very attractive. However, since we're all from Huaxia, I won't burn the bridge after crossing it. Su Yun smiled bitterly. It was really too dangerous this time. If they had really fought just now, Xia Qiuyu would have been the first person to be in danger. Then, he would have let her and Senior Shadowless down. If you don't want to talk about it, I won't ask, Gu Chia said. Since you guys are on my ship, let's be friends. I'll do you a favor and let you hitch a ride. As for the money, I don't want it. If I have the chance to go to Huaxia, I'll be able to make a few friends. Although Gu Chia was a gentle woman, her straightforwardness was something that many men couldn't do. Su Yun was a little surprised. Just as Gu Chia said, 5 million USD wasn't a huge amount, but it definitely wasn't a small amount either. No one wouldn't be tempted by it. Beauty, you're being so polite. We're not used to it. Zhua Meiyan was a little wary. Don't tell me you have something else you want us to do for you? Hee, although I haven't been in society for many years, I know very well that there's no such thing as a free lunch in the world. Gu Chia spread out her hands and smiled. I was hoping that you guys could do something for me, but I really didn't expect it. We're all from Huaxia. If I let you hitch a ride and asked you for 5 million, that would be too much. Although I'm just a little girl, I still understand the rules of the underworld. Lin Gu was quite happy. Sisters, you're a good friend. If you go to Huaxia in the future, just say the word. As long as it's not against the law, it's not a problem. Loyal. Gu Chia gave Lin Gu a 2-word evaluation. Su Yun was a little conflicted. On one hand, he had the same thoughts as Lin Gu. On the other hand, he had his misgivings about Zhua Meiyan. After all, Zhua Meiyan's words were reasonable. There's no such thing as a free lunch in the world. Although he was very sure that Gu Chia was a loyal and trustworthy brother, he still had some misgivings in certain aspects. In the end, Gu Chia was in the arms business. If this business was involved with Huaxia, it would be against the law. That would be touching the bottom line of Huaxia's laws. Su Yun was quite conflicted about this. I think you guys are tired. Rest well tonight. Gu Chia said lightly. You don't have to worry about anything with me here. Although I'm not talented, other than you guys, no one dares to cause trouble on my ship. Chapter 887. Gu Chia's friendliness gave Su Yun and the rest a place to settle down. As for their return to Huaxia, they could only wait for her to arrange it. However, it was certain that it was not now because they had to wait for the 2 deals in Japan to be completed. Moreover, Gu Chia also said that they had an appointment to make when the ship arrived in Korea. Lin Gu was in a good mood these few days on the ship. The mercenaries seemed to like interacting with him. As they had nothing to do, the mercenaries would spontaneously organize some martial arts competitions. Lin Gu defeated their captain Owen in an instant that day. Everyone recognized his skills, so they hoped that Lin Gu would show them his skills. Lin Gu did not disappoint them and won the championship bravely. This made the mercenaries admire him even more. Of course, these people knew very well that Su Yun, who had never fought and kept a low profile, was the most mysterious. This was because even Lin Gu, who could easily defeat them, obeyed Su Yun. More importantly, they could all see that their boss, Gu Chia, was very interested in this man from Huaxia. She always had a smile on her face when talking to him. She even cooked for him personally. Finally, after completing the deal with the Japanese, the ship sailed to Korea. When the ship stopped again, Zhuo Meiyan found an opportunity to go to Su Yun's room when there was no one around. "Do you realize what's wrong?" "What do you mean?" Su Yun was startled, although he quickly understood what Zhuo Meiyan meant. "What else could it be?" Zhuo Meiyan said. "These 2 days, even a fool can see that our beautiful mercenary lady has taken a liking to you. I'm really puzzled. What exactly do you have that makes us girls like you so much? Tell me you don't feel it. I'm not a 3-year-old child." It would be strange if Su Yun did not feel it. However, he could not find a reason because he did not show off in any way. He had been keeping a low profile on this ship, waiting to return to China. However, Gu Chia's interest in him did not decrease. She liked to talk to him whenever she had something to do. Their conversation covered a wide range of topics, from astronomy to geography to ideals and aspirations. Even when it came to literature, Gu Chia could talk to him for a long time. They talked about Macon Do in 100 Years of Loneliness, about how pitiful and honorable the people there were, and about how the love in the ordinary world written by Lu Yao was so plain that it made people's eyes water. In short, Gu Chia always had endless topics to talk about with Su Yun, from the interesting stories of Vancouver to her yearning for the land of Huaxia. "I don't know." Su Yun didn't avoid Zhuo Meiyan's question. "At first, I thought she had some kind of motive, but now I believe that she just has an inexplicable fondness for Huaxia. Maybe it's because we're all descendants of the Yellow Emperor, the descendants of the dragon." "Aha." Zhuo Meiyan nodded. "I'm also a descendant of the dragon. Why didn't she talk to me about the Second World War? Why didn't she talk to me about Martin Luther King Jr.'s firm and passionate declaration? Don't deny it anymore. She just likes you. There's no reason for that." Su Yun smiled bitterly. "I haven't done anything. What reason does she have to like me? You have the courage to bring us to hitch a ride with an arms dealer. Isn't that reason enough?" Zhuo Meiyan said, "There aren't many men in this world with such courage. If I were Gu Chia, I would also be interested in you. And no matter what I say to you, you can answer like an encyclopedia. You can explain the reason why Halley's Comet won't hit the Earth. Phew, what kind of girl in the world wouldn't be fascinated by you?" Su Yun was stunned. So, knowing more and talking more was also a kind of charm. He finally understood the great philosopher's words today. Knowledge is power. This power could not only be shown in other things, but also help you make girls fall in love with you. Su Yun smiled bitterly. Ever since he was young, other than training and missions, his only hobby was reading. His rich inner qualities were often the source of girls' love. At this moment, Gu Chia suddenly came to visit. She saw that Zhuo Meiyan was also there. She hesitated for a moment before saying, "My deal is cancelled, so you can return to Huaxia soon. What do you want to eat for lunch? I'll get the kitchen to prepare it." Su Yun smiled embarrassedly. "I've disturbed you for so long. I don't have anything to thank you for. I'll go to the kitchen today. You know how to cook." Gu Chia was surprised. Zhuo Meiyan rolled her eyes speechlessly. "I told you not to act so all round, but you still." Sigh. Zhuo Meiyan patted Su Yun's shoulder and said to Gu Chia, "Not only does he know how to cook, but he's also very good at it. I'm afraid that even the first-class chef on your ship can't compare to him. Su Yun really didn't mean to show off. He just felt that Gu Chia had taken care of them so much and wanted to express his gratitude. This was because when the ship approached Hua Xia's territorial waters, he would immediately take them away. He didn't want to stop the deal between Hua Xia's arms dealer and Gu Chia, but he also didn't want to watch them do it. After all, this was an illegal thing. Su Yun was also from the Dragon Fury team, so he could only choose to leave. Then I'm looking forward to it. Gu Chia expressed great interest. I'll help you, and you can teach me one or two of your specialties. My father loves Hua Xia's dishes the most, but he can't find a Chinese chef in Canada who can really make them. If I learn a thing or two, I'll definitely open his eyes when I go back. This was someone else's territory, so how could Su Yun reject her? He had no choice but to follow Gu Chia to the kitchen. Lin Gu was tired of chatting with the mercenaries on the deck, so he went to look for Su Yun excitedly. Zhuo Meiyan shrugged and told him, "Your brother is flirting for our safety. We're going back to Hua Xia soon. Don't mix with those mercenaries." Lin Gu scratched his head in surprise. "Sister Yen, are you serious? Is my brother really going to flirt with Gu Chia? TSK, TSK, TSK. He's indeed my brother. Awesome. Awesome, your ass." Zhuo Meiyan kicked Lin Ji's calf, causing him to groan in pain. She turned around and went to Xia Qiuyu's room to play chess with her. Xia Qiuyu was a good chess player, so Zhuo Meiyan had been playing chess with her for the past few days. This way, time would pass faster. Otherwise, what else could she do? Go and watch Lin Gu fight with that bunch of boorish men? Or watch Su Yun and Gu Chia flirt? No matter what she did, it wouldn't be as comfortable as playing chess with Xia Qiuyu. Anyway, Xia Qiuyu wasn't used to drifting on the sea for a long time, so she didn't leave her room easily. Playing chess with her could help her relieve her loneliness. When the two lonely women played chess, they couldn't help but gossip about Su Yun and Gu Chia. Eventually, they came to a consensus that Su Yun was a womanizer. Of course, Su Yun did not know about these things. He was currently working as a chef in the kitchen and a teacher at the same time. Gu Chia did things swiftly and decisively, which Su Yun liked very much. After all chefs like to have a smart and capable apprentice who did odd jobs. Chapter 888. For Su Yun, the past few days at sea were like a good dream. Gu Chia, a female arms dealer whom he had met by chance, had given him unexpected help. In the end, when Su Yun said that he was going to leave, she didn't say anything. Instead, she filled Su Yun's small speedboat with fuel in advance and changed all their life jackets. For all that Gu Chia had done, Su Yun could only thank her from the bottom of his heart. However, Gu Chia smiled and said that it was nothing. This was called fate. If it was someone else, she might not have saved them. If it weren't for her, Su Yun might have gotten into bigger trouble. It was fate that arranged for them to meet. That was all. Zhuo Meiyan and Xia Qiuyu didn't want to hear those sour farewells, so they got on the speedboat early under Gu Chia's arrangement. Lin Gu also hugged Owen and the others and said goodbye. This group of mercenaries were forthright men, so Lin Gu got along well with them. When it was time to say goodbye, this group of forthright mercenaries was a little reluctant to part. Su Yun was the last to return to the speedboat. When he was alone, Gu Chia said something to him. Su Yun didn't respond, because he didn't know how to respond. Under the skillful operation of Lin Gu, the speedboat soon sailed into the territorial waters of Hua Xia. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, they tried to avoid the patrols of the Navy and the Coast Guard as much as possible. Because the speed of the small speedboat was fast enough, after a few minutes, the people on the armed ship could no longer see the small speedboat. The speedboat slowly became smaller and finally disappeared into a small black dot at the horizon. Gu Chia breathed a sigh of relief. She had never experienced this feeling of reluctance before. She felt that even if Su Yun stayed on this boat, even if it was 3 months or 3 years, she would have endless things to say to him. "Miss Gu." Owen suddenly came up to her. There were some things that he wanted to say, but he didn't because of the timing. Now that the guests on the ship had left, he finally could not help but remind her. I know the real reason why you took over the arms trade. You just don't want to stay at home so that you can have a legitimate reason to avoid some people. But this is only a temporary solution. You can't avoid it forever. I've been with the boss for so many years. After you entered the family business, I've been working under you. I know you. Please believe me. I'm saying this for your sake. Even if you don't understand what I'm saying, you should think about the boss and the industry. Some feelings can't be touched. Gu Chia turned to look at Owen. She did not expect the leader of the mercenaries to be such a meticulous person. He could even tell what a girl like her had been thinking for the past 2 days. Indeed, after she entered the family business, Owen had always been her right-hand man. Most of the time, Owen had even done more than her bodyguard, Fu Li, who had been by her side since childhood. I'll think about your words, Gu Chia said, but you also know that feelings can't be forced. Although I've never set foot on Hua Xia's land, I know a lot of Hua Xia's ancient proverbs. There's a saying that goes, a melon that's forcefully picked is not sweet. I'd rather drift on this damn sea than go back to cater to a guy that I don't like from the bottom of my heart. Owen shook his head helplessly. If the boss had a way, he would never have put Miss Gu in such a difficult position. However, there were too many things in this world that were too complicated. It was not something that could be explained in 1 or 2 sentences or events. The relationship between people was even more complicated. In life, there were things that one had to do, and there were reasons that one had to sacrifice for a certain purpose. Gu Chia was not ready to sacrifice her personal happiness for the industry, but at the same time, she did not want to sacrifice the interests of the industry for her own personal happiness. It was a very contradictory thing, so she chose to escape and took over the business on behalf of her father. Just as Owen said, hiding was only a temporary solution. It could not solve the problem. Don't worry, I know what I should do and what I shouldn't do. Gu Chia's gaze drifted into the distance. But it's okay to think about it, right? If I don't even dare to have my own thoughts, then what's the point of me living? You just have to do your own things. You don't have to worry about my affairs. Owen did not say anything else. He silently turned and left. Gu Chia was indeed a capable woman. At least, her courage and ability were far superior to many men in the Gu family. This was the most basic reason why she could lead them. After a lot of hardships, Su Yun and the others finally landed. Although the speedboat that they drove back from Japan was not bad, it could not be driven home and could only be abandoned. As for the $5 million that Gu Chia did not keep, Su Yun wanted to return it to Iguchi Nego. But the other 3 did not think so. Lin Gu was even more blunt. No matter what, you cured Iguchi Nego of her black magic. Iguchi Kagoro should pay some money. Not to mention this, even if he pays twice as much, if we don't go to Japan to help him, his daughter can't be saved. Obviously, this is what you deserve, Zhuo Meiyan said. He doesn't deserve it because he didn't do anything. You saved the eldest daughter of the Iguchi family, so $5 million is really not much. In that case, Xia Qiuyu should take the money. Su Yun said, I went to Japan for the qi consolidating grass, not to save people. Xia Qiuyu waved her hand. Don't drag me into everything. I really don't understand you. Who would complain that they have too much money these days? Only a weirdo like you. If you really feel that you have too much money, charter a plane to take us back to Koto. Seriously, let's go back to Koto first. Zhuo Meiyan stretched. I really don't have the energy to do anything after sitting on the boat for a few days. Do you see the big billboard over there? Dongtai Chinese Sturgeon Nature Reserve. We are in Suong now. It's still a long way to go back to Jibei. Yes, that's the important thing. Su Yun also knew that it was crazy for the 4 of them to wander around with millions of dollars. Take a taxi to the high-speed railway station and try to get back before dark. Since the great master had spoken, everyone immediately took action and once again set foot on the expedition path. In the high-speed railway carriage, Zhumeyan and Xia Qiuyu both closed their eyes and fell asleep. Lin Ge was carrying the money box anyway, so they did not need to worry. Su Yun, on the other hand, is fiddling with that small transparent glass bottle in his hand. Looking at the dozen or so black qi consolidating grass seeds in the bottle, he didn't expect that whether or not he could recover his martial cultivation aura, he actually had to rely on such an unremarkable little thing. He could only rely on Ruan Qingxuang to cultivate the qi consolidating grass in a short time. Chapter 889. It was a long wait for Su Yun. After the movie plaza officially opened, there were a lot of things he needed to take care of. Since he was now the boss of Sky Entertainment, he couldn't just sit around and do nothing like before. Ruan Qingxuang put most of her energy into cultivating the few pots of qi consolidating grass. Lin Ge said it wasn't hard to cultivate, as long as there was enough water and sunlight, all she had to do was wait. But before the plants started to grow, Ruan Qingxuang didn't dare to let her guard down. Although it sounded unbelievable, these pots of qi consolidating grass could help Su Yun. She was under a lot of pressure. As they waited, time passed slowly. When the college entrance examination ended, summer really came. The scorching sun turned the entire northern Ji into a huge barbecue oven. The geographical situation of the city surrounded by mountains made it a natural sauna room. But the people living in this city had to endure the 40-degree weather. Especially at noon, if the car wasn't parked in a garage or underground parking lot, it would turn into a barbecue dish big enough to cook eggs and bacon in 3 to 5 minutes. But even in such abnormal weather, a fat man was sitting patiently in a black Audi parked in front of Sky Entertainment Group. The car didn't start. Obviously, the air conditioner wasn't turned on. The 4 windows were tightly shut, and the person inside was already soaked in sweat. Looking through the windshield, he looked like he had been drenched in water. But even so, the guy was still suffering in the sauna. 2 security guards from Sky Entertainment Group saw that something was wrong. They knocked on the car window, wanting to ask what was going on. But the person in the car didn't even bother to look at them. He just looked up and didn't seem to want to leave the car. In this kind of weather, and in a black car that absorbs heat, the temperature inside the car must be at least 70 or 80 degrees after being exposed to the sun for more than an hour. Was this guy trying to suffocate himself to death? The 2 security guards felt that something was wrong and had to call the police. If this person really died in front of Sky Entertainment Group's building, it wouldn't be a good thing for the company. About 15 minutes later, a police car arranged by the local police station arrived at the scene. In this terrible weather, they couldn't stay in the air-conditioned room to enjoy the cold air, but they had to go to the scene. No one would be happy. Bang! 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 The policeman knocked on the car door. "Get out of the car quickly. Do you want to die in there or something?" The fat man in the car was silent. His eyes were fixed on a black Cayenne that was slowly approaching Sky Entertainment Group. Su Yun had been so busy with Sky Entertainment Group that he didn't even have time to treat Tang Jiu to a meal. Today, he finally had some free time. He called and found out that Tang Jiu was in the company, so he personally drove her over and invited the others to have lunch together. When the car arrived in front of Sky Entertainment Tower, Su Yun saw an Audi surrounded by traffic police. He immediately stopped the car in front of Sky Entertainment Tower, opened the door, and got out to see what was going on. Tang Jiu also got out of the car, curious about what had happened. The 2 security guards obviously recognized Mr. Su's black Cayenne. When they saw him stop the car, they surrounded him. Before Su Yun could ask, one of them said, "Hello, Mr. Su. The Audi in front of us has been parked here." The person in the car didn't get out, nor did he turn on the air conditioner or open the windows. "It's almost like a microwave. When we saw him, we went to ask, but he ignored us. We were afraid that something bad might happen to the person inside, so we had to call the police." Su Yun patted the security guard's shoulder. "You did the right thing." However, at that moment, the owner of the Audi, who had refused to open the door for the police, suddenly opened the door and walked out. The 3 police officers had already lost their patience from the heat. They were about to scold the guy, but unexpectedly, The fat man pushed aside one of the police officers in front of him with his left hand and rushed toward Su Yun with a plastic bucket in his right hand. Everyone present was stunned. Su Yun carefully looked at the fat man who was rushing toward him. He had never seen him before, and he didn't know him. When Su Yun noticed the plastic bucket in the fat man's hand, he was shocked. He exclaimed, "Oh no! Get out of the way!" After saying that, Su Yun pulled Tang Jiu back to hide. However, the two security guards didn't listen to Mr. Su's order. They thought that their job was to protect Sky Entertainment Group's members and property. Now that someone was causing trouble for their boss, they would be neglecting their duties if they didn't get out of the way. Moreover, this was a good time to perform well. Mr. Su was looking at them. As long as they subdued this troublemaker, they might be promoted to security team leader. Then, they would be able to sit in the air-conditioned room and enjoy the air conditioner like the captain of the security team. The fat man raised his hand and the liquid in the plastic bucket splashed toward the two security guards. The smell was pungent. It was gasoline. When the two security guards realized that something was wrong, it was too late. No one could see where the flame came from. The two security guards and the fat man were covered in gasoline and ignited with a bang. In this 40-degree hot sauna, the flame rose 2 meters high. The three people who were surrounded by the flames screamed in pain. The three police officers who came to investigate were completely dumbfounded. They didn't know what to do with this sudden turn of events. The passers-by who passed by Sky Entertainment Group also stopped in their tracks. They were shocked by the scene in front of them. "Put out the fire." Su Yun sent Tang Jiu to a safe area as he shouted at the Sky Entertainment Group. The captain of the security team and the other security guards who were drinking tea in the security room were also shocked by the scene. Then, they rushed out of the building with fire extinguishers. Su Yun didn't stay idle either. He took out the fire extinguisher from the car and sprayed it at the three security guards. The three police officers finally reacted. They searched the car for a long time but couldn't find the fire extinguisher. After all, it was a government car. Without a fire extinguisher, there was no need to be afraid of being inspected. Everyone knew that. Although the fire was quickly put out by Su Yun and the captain of the security team, it was still very serious to be burned in this kind of weather. Even if it was just for a moment. The fat man who poured the gasoline and the two security guards were lying on the ground on the verge of death. Under the burned clothes, their skin and flesh could be seen. Su Yun couldn't help but feel a twinge of pain in his heart. This kind of large burn area didn't just cause physical damage. It was even more damaging to the mind. Seeing the three police officers who didn't do anything, Su Yun was angry. If they had reacted faster and stopped the man, this tragedy wouldn't have happened. Although he was angry, Su Yun couldn't vent it on them. He quietly took out his phone and dialed the emergency number. Sky Entertainment Group, 3 people with severe burns. They are in critical condition. At this time, the 3 police officers who had regained their senses walked in front of Su Yun and asked, "What the F***ck is going on? Who started the fire?" "You're asking me?" Su Yun frowned. "I should be the one asking you, right? Why didn't anyone stop the man who rushed forward with gasoline?" Chapter 890. The ambulance took the 3 seriously injured people away. Su Yun's heart was in a mess. Because of the commotion, Ruan Qingxuang and Zhuo Meiyan came out. Lin Gu and Wang Zhe also looked around vigilantly. They were worried that there would be more radical terrorists. Recently, society was not very peaceful. Northern Ji was not the first city to have a terrorist attack. The security guard captain blamed himself. It was inevitable that he would have to bear the responsibility. Now he felt guilty. After all, it was not easy to find a high-paying job in Sky Entertainment. If he lost his job because of this incident, it would be troublesome. Alas, he did not know if it was because of his zodiac year. In the past 6 months, he had encountered enough bad luck. It seemed that he really needed to change to a new pair of red underwear. Block the evil spirit. The incident happened in front of Sky Entertainment. The target was Su Yun. Today, Su Yun could not stay idle. He was afraid that he would not be able to eat lunch. He felt sorry for Tang Jiu, but Tang Jiu did not care. She cared about why the person wanted to hurt Su Yun. Because the severity of the case had exceeded the scope of the police's abilities, the Criminal Police Major Crimes Investigation Unit took over the entire incident. After a series of on-site investigations, all of them were very surprised. It could even be said that they couldn't believe that such a thing would happen to such a person. Although the fat man driving the Audi was not very powerful in Northern G, he was still a small boss of a decoration company. He relied on his uncle, the director of the construction bureau, to get a lot of construction work in the city. Although he did not make a lot of money, he made a lot of money. Otherwise, he would not have looked down on the domestic A6 and spent hundreds of thousands more to buy an imported A6. Obviously, this guy could not be a terrorist. He was from Northern G. His family's network was quite big. The quality of his life was also very good. If he volunteered to be a terrorist suicide squad, then he must have been possessed or had water in his brain. This person is called Zhang Feigua. Did he have any conflicts with you in the past? The Criminal Police Department felt that this matter was quite tricky. Su Yun shook his head. I've never seen him before. There's no contact between us, let alone any grudges. Yes, that was the strangest part. Because the Criminal Police Unit couldn't think of any motive for Zhang Feigua's crime. This was simply inexplicable. Could it be that this fellow had gone mad? This was because the three policemen had said that when they arrived, Zhang Feigua refused to get out of the car no matter what. He was so hot that he almost fainted in the car. In that case, the most reasonable explanation now was that Zhang Feigua had gone mad. Because the three severely burned patients were still being treated. Because they were treated in time, their lives should not be in danger, but it would be difficult for them to escape punishment. The members of the Criminal Police Unit were also at their wits' end. They could only wait for Zhang Feigua to wake up and ask some questions before they could make a judgment. Director Su, I'm really sorry. Since this happened in Sky Entertainment, I'll have to trouble you to come back to the team with us. The members of the Criminal Police Unit were very polite to Su Yun. After all, Su Yun was now a big shot in Northern G, the big boss of Sky Entertainment. Who would dare to look down on him? Even the secretary of Northern G would have to look up to him. To be able to reach such a position at such a young age, he was not an ordinary person. Of course, I'll cooperate. Su Yun nodded. He also wanted to find out what was going on. Zhua Meiyan frowned slightly. She walked behind Su Yun and nudged him lightly. When the members of the Criminal Police Unit saw this, they tactfully stepped back. Since this had happened in front of Sky Entertainment, as the leaders of the company, there were indeed some things that they needed to discuss. I think this matter is a little strange. Zhua Meiyan said, It's definitely not that simple. I'm a little worried. Let me go to the Criminal Police Unit. If anything happens, I can handle it. You just stay in the company obediently. Before we figure out what happened, don't go out and wander around. Su Yun knew what Zhua Meiyan was worried about. He had the same doubts as her. Zhang Feigua and Sky Entertainment had nothing to do with each other. Besides, Zhang Feigua seemed to be mentally unstable before he did this. It was as though he had been controlled by someone. This was what Su Yun and Zhua Meiyan were worried about. It's better for me to go, Su Yun said firmly. After all, his target is me. You won't be able to convince everyone. But Zhua Meiyan wanted to say something. Su Yun didn't allow her to continue. He turned to leave with the members of the Criminal Police Unit. Everyone knew very well that the decision Su Yun made could not be changed by others. After Su Yun left with the members of the Criminal Police Unit, Zhua Meiyan glanced at Lin Gu. Lin Gu took advantage of the fact that everyone's attention was elsewhere to walk over to Zhua Meiyan. He asked her, Sister Yen, did you notice something amiss? Zhua Meiyan nodded. Are you sure that the witch doctor who cast the black magic spell on Nagako Iguchi is dead? Lin Gu looked shocked. I'm very sure. I killed that fellow personally. There's no way he's still alive. I won't show mercy to such a person who harms others. How much do you know about that witch doctor? Asked Zhua Meiyan. Lin Gu shook his head. I only know that he is extremely ugly and has a lot of tattoos on his body. He looks just like Michael Scofield in the movie Prison Break. Judging from his looks, he must be from Nanyang. I always thought that witchcraft masters were old women. I didn't expect that it would be a man. Zhua Meiyan didn't know much about witchcraft masters from Nanyang, but she suspected that they were the culprits behind this. Perhaps they had gotten into big trouble after they had dealt with that witch doctor in Japan. Zhua Meiyan needed to do some research on the sorcerer families in Nanyang. She might be able to find something. In any case, she couldn't just sit around and wait for death. Pigeon, get everyone to pay attention to their surroundings. Especially the security guards of Sky Entertainment. If they see anyone behaving abnormally, restrain them immediately. This is to prevent something like this from happening again. Lin Gu knew that something was amiss, so he understood that Zhua Meiyan's worries were necessary. Sister Yen, don't worry. I'll be careful. I'll pick up Su Yun from the criminal police unit later, said Zhua Meiyan. I'll leave this to you. Su Yun had been taken away by the criminal police unit, but they definitely wouldn't send him back after the investigation was over. In any case, Zhua Meiyan was really worried about this matter. Even if they sent Su Yun back, she would go with him personally. Now, anyone could be the one causing them trouble. Lin Gu didn't slack off either. He immediately brought everyone back and instructed the captain of the security team to conduct a thorough investigation. Everyone in Sky Entertainment couldn't be let off if there was anything wrong with them. Lin Gu had to be extra careful when dealing with witchcraft masters. Chapter 891. After Su Yun was invited to the criminal police unit, whether it was the leaders in the unit, the division leader in charge of this matter, or the investigation specialist, they were all quite polite to him. After unilaterally giving Su Yun a statement, they still needed information from the hospital. Obviously, Zhang Feigua would be interrogated immediately after the rescue. Captain Qi, I have a presumptuous request. If you're going to the hospital now, can you take me with you? Su Yun, you know that this matter is related to me, and I also want to know the reason. Moreover, 2 of my employees were also burned, and their family members are probably here by now. It's hard to convince them with just the department head, so I'd like to comfort them. Su Yun's words were reasonable. This was human nature. Qi Kelyong from the criminal police unit nodded and agreed. All right, since CEO Su is so cooperative with our work, we couldn't ask for more. I'm going to the hospital to check on the situation. Zhang Feigua's family members have also been notified, and they need us to give them an explanation as soon as possible. After confirming, they didn't waste any more time and immediately got into the car and rushed to the hospital. Zhua Meiyan, who had been waiting for Su Yun at the entrance of the traffic police station, started the car and followed him without hesitation. She didn't know that it was Su Yun who asked to go to the hospital. She thought that the criminal police unit was going to take him somewhere. Zhua Meiyan didn't relax until she followed him to the hospital. She knew that Su Yun must have known that she was following him, but he didn't get out of the car with them. After seeing Su Yun and Qi Kelyong enter the hospital, she immediately called Zhua Yeming. After the incident, she arranged for Zhua Yeming to come to the hospital to comfort the 2 security guards' family members. She also told Zhua Yeming that if it weren't for the 2 security guards, the ones who were burned and hospitalized might have been Su Yun and Tang Jiu. Therefore, he had to take good care of them and make arrangements. No matter what conditions the family members had, as long as they weren't too excessive, he had to agree to them. Zhua Yeming knew that Su Yun was coming, so he was more or less prepared. After all, the 2 security guards' family members were emotionally unstable, and he was worried that they would vent their anger on Su Yun. Since ancient times, Hua Xia had always believed that money could make the world go round. Zhua Yeming once again requested for compensation from the families of the 2 security guards. Everyone, listen to me. Our boss Su is very concerned about this matter. He came to the hospital right after he finished his work with the criminal police unit. Zhua Yeming said, "Don't worry about this matter. Sky Entertainment will not ignore it." As for the 600,000 yuan compensation for each worker, that's not a problem at all. Sky Entertainment would take full responsibility. At the same time, we will fight for the greatest benefits for you. We will not let the person who hurt you off easily. We will try our best to get more compensation from him. Perhaps money was the most comforting thing at a time like this. Hearing the manager of Sky Entertainment say that 600,000 yuan wasn't a problem, and that he might even help them get more compensation, the family members of the two injured security guards were too embarrassed to say anything more. At this time, Su Yun, Qi Keliang, and several other people from the criminal police team came to the ward. Knowing that the two security guards were out of danger, Su Yun breathed a sigh of relief. But the serious burns really made his heart ache. If you have any requests, just tell us. As long as it's within our ability, we will do our best. They were injured during work. No matter what, Sky Entertainment will not abandon them. If they can still work after they recover, Sky Entertainment's door will always be open to them. If they can't continue to work, Sky Entertainment will definitely take full responsibility. Whether it's a living problem or a child's school problem, we won't ignore it. You don't have to worry about the medical expenses. We will take care of all the non-reimbursable medical expenses. Nowadays, such a loyal boss was really rare. The family members of the two security guards were instantly moved by Su Yun. Originally, they thought that they would only be compensated 100 or 80,000 yuan at most. After deducting the medical expenses, they were afraid that not only would they not have any money left, but they would also have to pay a lot more. But now, Zhuo Yeming had promised to compensate them with 600,000 yuan, and then Su Yun had promised to take care of all the non-reimbursable medical expenses. He would also take care of their living problems and children's problems in the future. This made their hearts feel warm and indescribably comfortable. After the criminal police team comforted the family members, they took Su Yun to the ward upstairs. In order to avoid unnecessary conflicts, they didn't arrange for the two parties to be in the ICU on the same floor. After all, Zhang Feigua was the arsonist. When they arrived at the ward upstairs, the atmosphere was just as heavy as the one downstairs. But in this heavy atmosphere, there was an extra layer of dark clouds. Because they were the family members of the injured party, the few police officers who stayed in the hospital saw Qi Keliang and greeted him. When they saw Sky Entertainment's president Su, they were a bit surprised. After all, the guy who was badly burned was the one who wanted to harm him. How could he dare to come here? Is Zhang Feigua awake? Qi Keliang asked. Zhang Feigua's wife suddenly rushed over like a hungry wolf and knelt down in front of Qi Keliang. Boss, you must be able to see through everything. Our Feigua isn't a psychopath. He has no reason to cause trouble at Sky Entertainment. Our Fei Kingdom must have been forced by someone to do this. Don't be agitated. Get up first. Qi Keliang helplessly helped the family member up. After Zhang Feigua's wife got up, she glared at Su Yun with a pair of frightened and angry eyes. It's you. You must have offended someone. Our Feigua has fallen to this state because of you. Now that he's been saved, you're going to hold him accountable? Do you have any humanity left? Don't be unreasonable. The police were afraid that Zhang Feigua's wife would vent her anger, so they immediately stepped forward to stop her. Zhang Feigua's wife didn't dare to act rashly in front of the police, so she could only suppress her anger. However, Su Yun didn't get angry because of this. Instead, he said to Zhang Feigua's wife, I came here precisely because I felt that there was something fishy about this. I hope that this really has nothing to do with Mr. Zhang. If he was really threatened or deceived by someone, not only will I not hold you accountable, but I will also apologize to you. If this happened because of me, I will definitely take responsibility. Su Yun knew very well that if it was because they offended the Nanyang black magic masters in Dongying that caused ordinary people to be controlled by black magic and turned into puppets, he had to take responsibility for all of this. Zhang Feigua's wife didn't expect Su Yun to say this. For a moment, anger, gratitude, anxiety, pain, hope, and all sorts of emotions mixed together. She didn't know what to do or say next. If Zhang Feigua can speak now, I want to ask him a few questions, Qi Keliang said. He was from the criminal police, so of course, no one would stop him. Su Yun followed behind him and entered Zhang Feigua's ward. Chapter 892. After everyone left the hospital, Su Yun refused Qi Keliang's offer to send him back to Sky Entertainment. After watching the criminal police officers leave, he walked straight to Zhuo Meiyen's car, opened the door, and got in. Zhuo Meiyen was looking up something on her tablet. When she saw Su Yun get in the car, she immediately turned to look at Su Yun and asked, "What happened? What did Zhang Feigua say?" Su Yun seemed to be in a heavy mood. He shook his head and sighed. "It looks like this has something to do with me. Zhang Feigua doesn't know what he did. His eyes tell me that he's not lying. His memories are from before he was set on fire. As for how he drove to Sky Entertainment, he doesn't know anything." Zhuo Meiyen's expression became serious after hearing this. "What about before? Does he remember what happened before he came to Sky Entertainment?" "Yes." Su Yun nodded. "He said he had an appointment with a client at a tea house. After the meeting, he sent the client away. He only remembers how he felt. He said his mind kept telling him that he was hot, but he couldn't remember anything after that until he was set on fire." "Are you sure he's not lying?" Zhuo Meiyen confirmed again. Su Yun was very sure. After he was saved, he didn't think he set someone on fire, but that he was set on fire. Even now, he still can't accept the fact that he set someone on fire. If his wife didn't tell him, he would have suspected that he was set on fire. Also, there's one more thing that confirms this. Zhang Feigua doesn't smoke, nor does he have a habit of carrying a lighter. You know the rules of Sky Entertainment. Security guards aren't allowed to smoke during work. They don't have any lighters on them. Zhuo Meiyen had thought of this a long time ago. She didn't find any lighters at the scene of the incident. No one could explain how the fire was set on fire. Even the criminal police officers said it was too strange. They had never encountered something like this in all their years. "I'm afraid there's only one explanation." Zhuo Meiyen let out a long sigh of relief. "I'm afraid that the black magic master we killed in Dongying has returned to cause trouble for us. The dead can't be brought back to life. I'm sure of that." Su Yun said, "Since Lin Gu made sure that he killed that guy, it couldn't have been that tame headmaster. There must be someone else. Maybe it's that black magic master's friend, relative, or even fellow disciples." Zhuo Meiyen shook her head. "No, it was the black magic master himself." Su Yun's face turned gloomy. Zhuo Meiyen wouldn't joke around with him at this time. It was obvious that she had some evidence. Zhuo Meiyen handed the tablet in her hand to Su Yun. Su Yun saw some information on the ancient black magic masters and some legends that Zhuo Meiyen had searched for. There was a picture of a man covered in tattoos, from his neck to his shoulders, arms, back, waist, and all the way down to his ankles. There were all kinds of strange tattoos on his body. If this person was seen by brainless non-mainstream people and rural punks, they would definitely shout that he was cool. However, Su Yun couldn't help but feel disgusted after taking a closer look. The tattoos on his body weren't totems, nor were they dragons, tigers, phoenixes, fishes, or whatever. They weren't Guan Yu, Maitreya, or Guanyin. Instead, they were all kinds of creepy insects. The most eye-catching one was the long green snake coiled around his body. The most disgusting one was the black maggot curled up into a ball. In any case, the more Su Yun looked at it, the more disgusted he felt. "Why are you showing me this?" Su Yun took a deep breath and adjusted his breathing. There are many black magic masters in Nanyang, and many of them are known as the most powerful black magic masters. However, among them, there's one sect that's the most mysterious, and no one dares to offend them. Zhuo Meiyen said, "It's this black magic sect that I'm showing you. They tattoo all kinds of insects that they can use to control others on their bodies, and inject them with the blood and souls of the insects. Every different creature on their bodies is tattooed with the liquid color of that creature. Therefore, to a certain extent, their tattoos are all alive, and have souls." "They are all alive." Su Yun sucked in a breath of cold air. This sounded really creepy. Although he didn't have lunch, Soo-yoon probably wouldn't be able to eat anything in the afternoon. Just the disgust alone was enough to fill him up. Look at the records. The number of insects tattooed on the body of the black magic masters of this sect represents the number of lives they have. Zhuo said, once they are injured, the insects with souls in the injured area will die in place of the black magic master, and the black magic master will be resurrected. Soo-yoon looked at the picture of the person tattooed with insects. The person in the picture had a giant bat tattooed on his neck. So you're saying that even though Pigeon is very sure that he slit the neck of the black magic master, the one who died was not the black magic master, but a bat? Soo-yoon could even hear the sound of his own heartbeat. Zhuo nodded. Maybe it's not a bat. It depends on what the person tattooed on his neck. I haven't confirmed it with Pigeon yet, but I think we'll know once we ask him when we get back. Soo-yoon was feeling uneasy at the moment. Either way, they had offended someone that they couldn't afford to offend. Misfortune never came singly these days. Unlucky things kept happening one after another. Then let's go back and ask him. There were too many strange things in the world, and too many things that science couldn't explain. It wasn't that Soo-yoon was superstitious, nor did he believe in supernatural theories. However, he had personally experienced witchcraft, so he was sure of its existence. After listening to Soo-yoon and Zhuo explanation, Lin Ji's expression became a little panicked. Yes, Zhuo was right. If she hadn't mentioned it, he wouldn't have remembered. Now that he thought about it, the tattoos on that guy's body were indeed insects. All kinds of them. Disgusting. Furthermore, there was a giant black bat tattooed on his neck. That's right. It must be. As Lin Gu had personally slit that guy's throat, he remembered very clearly that after the black magic master's throat was slit, the bat tattooed on his neck was also torn in half. Zhuo heart skipped a beat. It seemed like the ancient legends in Southeast Asia were true. There really was such a type of black magic master who could use them to lock the souls of insects under their control to save their own lives and souls. Soo-yoon also took a deep breath and cursed. The world was too big, and there were all kinds of strange things. He really didn't know if he was facing a human or a ghost. Hee. Who would have thought that after so many years, Southeast Asia's witchcraft hadn't been devoured by time. Instead, what was left behind were even more vicious and terrifying people. Chapter 893. This question really stumped Soo-yoon. The only thing Soo-yoon could guarantee now was, none of us should eat outside food for the time being. Pigeon, you personally supervise the chefs in the company cafeteria. If there are any abnormalities, tell me immediately. When dealing with a tame headmaster, the first thing to pay attention to is what you put into your mouth. Okay. Lin Gu nodded heavily. He would definitely pay attention to this matter. Mayen, you let Zhuo be in charge of comforting the security guards' families. If they ask for more material and financial help, give them more material and financial compensation. This incident started with us, and they were all implicated for no reason. Soo-yoon, also, use your connections to inform the police that we will not pursue any responsibility for Zhang Feigua's actions, and request that his sentence be reduced. We know the reason. He was just used by a tame headmaster. He didn't do this with his own will and thoughts. Under such circumstances, he is just like us, a victim. Zhuo nodded. Of course, she understood this. She immediately went to solve the current problem. Innocent people were implicated because of them, and she had the responsibility to take responsibility for them. However, if she told the real reason, no one would believe her. They could only find a way to solve the problem themselves. After arranging things, Soo-yoon went to Ruan Qingxuang's office. Under Ruan Qingxuang's careful care, the pots of qi consolidating grass had already sprouted. According to the plant's fast growth cycle, it should be able to grow leaves in 2 or 3 days. Ruan Qingxuang saw Soo-yoon's gloomy face and felt a pang of heartache. I know you feel helpless about what's happening now, but please believe that no matter what difficulties there are, there will always be a solution. It's just like, back then, I lost all hope in life, but in the end, I persevered. Isn't that right? Su Yun smiled slightly. You are now my inspirational role model. Sister Shuang, I originally promised you that after the ribbon cutting at the Film and Television Square, I would take you to Nanjiang to thoroughly investigate Ruan Chao's matter. Now, I am entangled in such a big trouble. That incident happened many years ago. I don't mind waiting a little longer, Ruan Qingxuang said. Compared to that incident, I'm more worried about your situation. I asked Pigeon, and even if we cultivate this qi-consolidating grass, we still need the help of another person to refine the pill that can restore your strength, and that person is not easy to find. Su Yun smiled bitterly. It was indeed not easy to find Huangfu Guo. Although he believed that it was only a matter of time before he found him, what right did he have to ask Huangfu Guo to save him? There were 3 emperors at the peak of the underground world, and Huangfu Guo was one of them. As a terrifying master of the profound sky realm, Su Yun, a master of the Grandmaster realm, was like an ant to him. What did the life and death of an ant have to do with him? But Su Yun still forced himself to have hope. We will find him and find a way to get him to help me. You already have enough things to worry about. Don't waste your energy on me. Otherwise, I will feel even more guilty and blame myself. Ruan Qingxuang didn't say anything. She lowered her head and looked at the pots of qi-consolidating grass that were full of vitality. She was the one who really felt guilty and blamed herself. There were so many things that she couldn't help Su Yun. All she could do was plant some flowers and plant some grass. Compared to everything that Su Yun had done, her heart was especially struggling and painful. At noon the next day, in the same situation, at the same place, a black car was parked in front of the Sky Entertainment Group for a full hour like the day before. The person in the car was the same as Zhang Feigua. He didn't start the car, turn on the air conditioner, and didn't open the windows. He was like a patient hunter, enduring the torture of the heat and waiting for his prey. Because of what happened the day before, no one dared to act rashly. The security captain of the Sky Entertainment Group tried to make up for his negligence yesterday. He ordered everyone to prepare fire extinguishing equipment and be on standby to subdue any suspicious person. But Su Yun gave a strict order that no one was allowed to approach the car. In the next 20 minutes of observation, Su Yun finally found a suspicious person. In a cafe opposite the Sky Entertainment Group, a man wearing trousers, long sleeves, a scarf, and a hat entered his field of vision. Normal people would have changed into short-sleeved shirts or t-shirts in this kind of weather. If it was allowed in public, most men would choose to go out shirtless. When Su Yun pointed out the suspicious person to Lin Gu recognized him at a glance. That's right. That was the tame headmaster he personally killed in Japan. Although he was already prepared, Lin Gu still sucked in a breath of cold air when he saw this guy come back from the dead. This was too evil. He didn't expect the evil arts of Nanyang to still exist in today's society. Brother, let me take care of him. Lin Gu believed that he wouldn't fail again. Zhuo Meiyan didn't think so. To deal with this kind of person, even if you burn his entire body, the only ones who will die will be the insects whose souls are imprisoned. We need to find a real way to deal with him. Otherwise, no one can act rashly. Last time in Japan, you were able to succeed because you caught him off guard. But now that we're out in the open, he obviously knows all of us. Doing this again is too risky. Then what should we do? We can't just sit here and wait for death. Lin Gu said, the person in the car in front of the building won't be able to hold on much longer. The windows are closed, and the air isn't circulating. Even if he doesn't die from the heat, he'll suffocate to death from the thin air. We have to stop this from happening as soon as possible. Su Yun knew that it was time for him to stand up. His target is me. A high-level tame headmaster like him will definitely be able to sense that I was the one who removed the tame head spell he cast on Nego Iguchi in Japan. So, the person he wants to take revenge on is me. The one who started the trouble needs to end it. I'll go and meet him personally. Are you crazy? Zhuo Meiyan refuted immediately. You're not really going to do that, are you? Who knows what kind of spell that perverted evil art master will cast on you? Even if you don't care about your life, you should think about us. Su Yun's intuition told him that the other party didn't seem to want to kill him, but to force him to show up. If the other party wanted to attack him, he could have found an opportunity to cast a tame head spell on him before his identity was exposed. That way, it would be difficult for him to guard against it. However, the other party had chosen this method twice. It gave Su Yun the feeling that he was forcing him to show up. If I don't go and meet him, more innocent people will be dragged into this. Su Yun said, I can't watch innocent people get dragged into unnecessary trouble because of us. Then I'll go with you. Lin Gu saw that Su Yun had made up his mind, so he could only support him unconditionally. Su Yun looked at Lin Gu and smiled. Do you think he'll like someone who killed him once? If you go, you'll only anger him. He won't be able to talk to me calmly. It's too dangerous for you to go alone. Lin Gu didn't agree. Who knows what kind of schemes they have? I'll go, Zhuo Meiyan said. I'll go with you. He hasn't seen me before. He won't dislike me, right? Chapter 894. Once Su Yun decided on something, no one could dissuade him. They could only let Su Yun find a hat and a pair of sunglasses, disguise himself as much as possible, and sneak out from the back door. Zhuo Meiyan stayed where she was. From here, she could see everything in the coffee shop. If Su Yun was in trouble, she had to make sure she could get there as soon as possible. As for the other things, they were left to Lin Gu, Zhuo Yeming, and Wang Zhe. They didn't tell Ruan Qingshuang about this. Even if she knew, she would only be anxious. It was better to let her take care of the flowers in the office upstairs with Xia Qiuyu. The sooner they got the qi consolidating grass, the sooner they could give Su Yun hope. Su Yun came out from the back door. His goal was to avoid the guy with the black magic at the door. If he was discovered, the crazy scene from yesterday might happen again. Therefore, Su Yun would rather walk a little longer than take the risk. Of course, Su Yun did not choose to walk in from the front door of the coffee shop. Instead, he inquired about the supply channel of the coffee shop, which was the back door. Although the back door said no unauthorized personnel were allowed to enter, Su Yun took out 100 yuan and gave it to the odd job worker at the back door. Then, he walked in without any hindrance. A well-dressed man sat near the glass window. His eyes were fixed on the black car parked in front of Sky Entertainment. He was so focused that he didn't care about the strange clothes he was wearing. He didn't wake up until Su Yun sat in front of him. Su Yun didn't say anything. He just stared at him silently. It wasn't that Su Yun was deliberately mystifying, but he really didn't know how to open his mouth. In all his life, he had never greeted such a terrifying evil art master. Su Yun was even worried that he would be put under the black magic if he opened his mouth. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to describe Su Yun's feelings at this moment. However, the person sitting across from Su Yun was obviously not relaxed either. His gaze never left Su Yun's line of sight for even a second. The two of them just sat there, neither of them speaking, neither of them even blinking. At this moment, the waiter walked up to Su Yun and asked, "Sir, what would you like to drink?" Su Yun saw that the guy opposite him only had a glass of water in front of him. He carefully said to the waiter, "A bottle of Blue Mountain, thank you." The waiter filled out the form, took the money, and turned to leave. Su Yun and the strange man were still staring at each other. It was as if the two of them had fallen into a battle of consciousness. They both wanted to read something from each other's eyes, but they couldn't see through each other's thoughts at all. "I know. You did everything." When the coffee was served, Su Yun spoke first. He realized that if he didn't speak, the other party, who had been a loner for almost his entire life, would have the patience to waste the whole day with him. As he spoke, Su Yun poured 2 cups of coffee. The other party just glanced at them and still didn't speak. He didn't drink the coffee Su Yun pushed in front of him either. Because in his eyes, since Su Yun could remove his black magic, he was also someone who could perform black magic. "I was the one who ruined your plans first. I'm deeply sorry for that. Although I know you won't forgive someone who ruined your plans, I still want to apologize to you." "Su Yun, I just hope that the conflict between us won't involve innocent people. I don't know if you can understand me? These black magic masters were all Nanyang people. Su Yun wasn't sure if he could understand Chinese. The other party still didn't answer, but he finally reacted. He nodded. It seemed that he understood Chinese. After all, a long time ago, Hua Xia went to Nanyang. At that time, many Chinese people desperately followed the fleet to that mysterious place in order to make a living. Since then, the Nanyang area could be said to be filled with Hua Xia's survival army. It was only natural that he could understand Chinese. Then, Su Yun saw from the corner of his eye that the person who had been staying in the black car suddenly opened the door and rushed out. However, he immediately knelt on the ground and took deep breaths of the fresh air outside the car. He didn't have any gasoline in his hand and looked confused and at a loss. Lin Gur and the others, who had been waiting for an opportunity to make a move, instantly surrounded him and subdued him immediately. Judging from this person's reaction, this guy who was tightly dressed seemed to have removed the control over the poor innocent guy. Thank you. Su Yun didn't know what to say. He just expressed the first thought that came to his mind. At least the other party wasn't as unreasonable as he thought. That poor innocent guy was saved because of this. Su Yun took a sip of coffee and looked at the other party with the greatest sincerity, hoping that the other party would say something. Who are you? Why did you ruin my plan? The other party didn't say anything, but he asked 2 questions. This time, Su Yun was really stumped. Su Yun didn't know how to explain his identity. He could only answer the second question first, because I have a favor to ask of the Iguchi-gumi, so I had to help them solve their problem first. So you helped them break my black magic, then found me and killed me. A trace of anger flashed in the eyes of the mysterious black magic master. Although he wasn't really killed, the black bat that had followed him for decades disappeared from his life forever. It was obviously impossible for him to ask for forgiveness. Su Yun smiled helplessly. It's already happened. I don't have anything to explain. I just hope that no matter how we deal with the conflict between us, it won't involve innocent people. 3 innocent people have already been hospitalized due to burns. The other party didn't seem to want to listen to Su Yun's explanation. He asked a new question: who taught you how to break free from black magic and track my whereabouts through psychic mediums? Su Yun was startled. It was all because of his fortuitous encounter in Nanyang. A few years ago, I was working in Nanyang and was inflicted with a very evil black magic. An old senior helped me. His name is Wu Zong. Everything I learned was taught to me by Senior Wu Zong. Wu Zong. The other party was very agitated. He didn't even care about the shocked gazes of the people around him. He asked loudly, "Where did you see him?" Impossible, absolutely impossible. He died in the hands of the Japanese decades ago. How could he still be alive? What was going on here? Su Yun was confused. Could it be that the guy sitting in front of him knew Senior Wu Zong? Also, his reaction was so agitated. What kind of relationship did he have with Senior Wu Zong? I have no reason to lie to you, Su Yun said calmly. He could feel that the people around them were looking at them in shock. He lowered his voice. This isn't the place to talk. If you want to know anything, I'll tell you everything I know. However, it's more appropriate to talk somewhere else. The other party's emotions seemed to be stirred up because of Wu Zong's name, unable to calm down for a long time. However, in the end, he still realized that there were too many unrelated people here. He did his best to calm himself down, and then said to Su Yun, "All right, then come with me." Chapter 895. Just like that, Su Yun followed an extremely dangerous person for more than 2 kilometers on foot and arrived at a small hotel called the Warmth Hotel. The room of the tame headmaster looked especially gloomy, and there was an indescribable feeling to it. In short, Su Yun started to regret his decision after entering the room. Who knew what kind of things that normal people could not understand were kept in this room? After this person entered the room, he no longer needed clothes to hide the mysterious tattoos on his body. After he took off his hat, scarf, and coat, Su-yun understood the disgusting feeling that Lin Ge was talking about. Indeed, a body full of tattoos like this was not something normal people could accept. There were too many disgusting insects tattooed on almost every inch of his body. Other than his face, the only other perfect skin was probably his neck. There were no traces of tattoos on his neck. This was different from what Lin Ge said. Lin Ge said that there was a huge black bat tattoo on his neck. Su-yun sucked in a cold breath. Lin Ge only killed a tattoo? The scapegoat bat was already dead, so the tattoo on his neck disappeared. This Nanyang sorcerer in front of him really showed Su-yun what it meant to be inconceivable. You're a smart person. You can definitely see the only weakness on my body now. The person sat down and said to Su-yun, but I advise you not to have that kind of thought. Because everyone in this room is my people. Su-yun's Adam's apple bobbed. He knew that the only weakness the person was talking about was his neck, which was no longer protected by insects. However, Su-yun really did not have the energy to kill him right now. When this guy said that everyone in this room is his people, Su-yun thought of a horror story. It felt like when you were alone in an elevator, and the elevator suddenly stopped. However, the person outside the elevator did not come in. Instead, he muttered to himself, "Why are there so many people in the elevator today?" Goosebumps. I don't have such thoughts. Don't worry. Su-yun, no matter what, I feel that you have a certain connection with Senior Wu Zong. I believe that he is a righteous person. You are also. I am different from my father. Su-yun was completely shocked by her words. Su-yun did not come back to his senses for a long time. His mind was filled with the word father that had popped out of the other party's mouth. Wu Zong was this guy's father. My name is Wu Tian. I am the only descendant of the Wu family. Su-yun was still in shock. Although this was a good thing for him, he was more or less unable to accept it. It was too bizarre. He even thought he could turn his experiences into a thriller that would sell well all over the country. Now you should know why I chased you all the way to Huaxia. Wu Tian's face was expressionless. His perpetually fixed expression and tattoos made it difficult for others to estimate his age. Because only our Wu family's black magic masters have the ability to neutralize black magic and track down the location of the black magic master through psychic mediums. Su-yun finally understood. He had learned this method of neutralizing black magic from Senior Wu Zong. That was why he could track Wu Tian's whereabouts. Wu Tian was not angry that he had been killed once because of this. Instead, he had tracked them all the way to Huaxia, and then tried to force Su-yun to come out and meet him. It was also because he was curious about this matter. Wu Tian could not believe that someone from the Wu family still existed in this world. Senior Wu Zong did teach me this. But you said that Senior Wu Zong decades ago. Su-yun was even more confused now. Could it be that he had encountered the ghost of a black magic master when he was in a desperate situation in Southeast Asia? This was even more ridiculous than facing a living tame head sorcerer, wasn't it? That's why I wanted to talk to you, Wu Tian said, because I don't doubt what you said at all. If it wasn't for my father teaching you, you wouldn't have been able to find me after neutralizing my black magic. Of course. I'm also very sure of one thing. My father died decades ago in the hands of the Japanese. That's why I came to Japan for revenge. Phew, this guy admitted that Wu Zong was dead, and that Su-yun had learned from Wu Zong. However, Wu Zong had died decades ago, and Su-yun had only met him a few years ago. Unless he had met a ghost, there was no other explanation. Are you suspecting that I met Senior Wu Zhang's spirit? No. Wu Tian interrupted Su-yun. If you met my father, that means he's still alive. It definitely couldn't be his soul. No one would be able to see something like a soul. Even the most powerful sorcerer can't see it. Reality is different from movies. Su-yun swallowed his saliva. The more he listened, the more he couldn't understand. Then why did you say your father died decades ago? Because I saw it with my own eyes. Wu Tian said, I saw with my own eyes that the Japanese slit my father's throat and used a bayonet to tear apart every inch of his skin. That's why I hate the Japanese so much. During that war, the ancestors of the Iguchi clan, Oshima clan, and Abe clan all participated in the massacre of our Nanyang Wu clan. That's why I came to Japan for revenge. But I didn't expect that just as I was about to carry out my revenge plan, you guys would appear and ruin it. Wu Tian still felt a little stuffy in his chest. It was impossible to say that he didn't hate Su Yun. Su Yun was stunned for a while. The knot in his heart was untied. So it was like this. The senior Wu Zong he saw didn't have these insect tattoos. Sky Shaman pointed at his own neck. Because of this calamity, I believed that you had seen my father. My father was like me in the past. His entire body was protected by the spirit insect. So, I believed that even if the Japanese destroyed every inch of his skin, he could still come back to life like me. That's right, he had indeed come back to life. Su Yun swore that even if such a resurrection spell was put on the stage of a magician, it would still cause him to be so shocked that he wouldn't be able to sleep for 3 days and 3 nights, let alone the fact that it was happening right in front of him. What kind of theory was this? Su Yun might not understand it, but the peak of Nanyang witchcraft was something that people couldn't understand. The senior Wu Zong I saw did not have any tattoos. Su Yun spoke the truth. It was the great spirit insect that protected him. Wu Tian clasped his hands and placed them on his chest as he chanted an incantation that Su Yun couldn't understand. Although Su Yun believed that he wouldn't do anything to him, he still felt a chill run down his spine. To be honest, Su Yun felt that there was something in this room that he couldn't explain. This feeling was very uncomfortable, making every hair on his body tense up. Sky Shaman said, I want those Dongying people to pay with their blood for the sake of revenge. I believe that if you knew about this, you wouldn't stop me. Chapter 896. Sky Shaman, on the other hand, was filled with hatred. All the Japanese deserve it. Anything. Wu Zong Senpai doesn't think so. Su Yun said, I understand. I also hate those Japanese, especially their current leader. Not only did they have the cheek to deny history, but they also shamelessly stood up to fight with Hua Xia for the island. They repeatedly challenged our bottom line. But this doesn't mean that all Japanese deserve to die. At least, someone like Iguchi Nagako who can face history and admit her mistakes doesn't deserve to die. Sky Wu didn't say anything. I also want to get rid of that old dog Ampere, but I can't get close to him, so I can't do anything to him. I can only do what I'm doing now. Su Yun was surprised that he could talk about this with a tame headmaster. I know I can't ask you for anything, but there are some things I still hope you can consider. Sky Wu didn't seem to want to argue with Su Yun about this issue. His gaze was still deep and colorless. Can you still get in touch with my father? I really want to see him again. When I was 8, I thought he was dead. After so many years, I never thought he was still alive. Sorry. Su Yun shook his head. I only met Wu Zong Senpai once in Nanyang. After that, I didn't hear any news about him. We didn't have any contact with each other. If I knew where he was, I would tell you without your request. I just think he should still be in Nanyang. I believe he also wants to see you again. I don't even know how long I've been away from Nanyang. Sky Wu's face showed an expression for the first time. It was a bitter smile. I have too many painful memories in that place. I don't want to stay there and suffer, so I left. After so many years, I've drifted to many countries and done many things that I don't know if they were right or wrong. Su Yun also sat down. Although this place made him feel uncomfortable, he still wanted to listen to the thoughts of the Wu family's last remaining tame headmaster. However, after Su Yun sat down, Sky Shaman didn't continue. He looked up at Su Yun and said, I'm very happy that you came with me and told me about my father. Although I have a lot of hatred for you and the guy who killed me once, I still feel that the hope you give me is enough to offset my hatred for you. Su Yun's back was drenched in cold sweat. If not for his relationship with Senior Wu Zong, he might not have been able to avoid the threat he would face. I just want to give you a piece of advice. Don't ever offend a tame headmaster, Sky Shaman said indifferently, because the vengeful mentality of a tame headmaster is more serious than any ordinary person. Consider this advice as my thanks to you. I should be the one thanking you, Su Yun said cautiously. This matter could actually be resolved peacefully? Am I dreaming? Su Yun wanted to pinch his thigh to see if he would wake up. Sky Shaman looked at him one last time and said, I don't want anyone to know where I live. I hope you can understand. Then, Su Yun felt dizzy. He was shocked. Oh no. But it was too late. Su Yun couldn't control his spiritual power and fell onto the sofa. After Zhua Meiyan saw Su Yun leave the coffee shop with that scary guy, she couldn't find any news about Su Yun. Although the person at the entrance of the Sky Entertainment building was no longer a threat, she still couldn't relax. The guy who had been in the sauna for an hour in the car was subdued by Lin Gu. It was as if he had become a different person. He was terrified. When the police arrived, he thought he could finally be saved. However, the unexplainable barrel of gasoline in his car still caused him to be taken away by the police. Obviously, this person was the same as Zhang Feigua yesterday. He didn't know what he had done. He just had a meal with a friend and couldn't remember anything else. When he came back to his senses, he realized that he had almost suffocated in his car. All of this made him feel extremely terrified, and the police couldn't find any connection or conflict between him and Sky Entertainment. After Lin Gu found out that there was no news about Su Yun, he was as nervous as Hua Meiyan. They didn't dare tell Ruan Qingshuang about this. They didn't want her to worry. Then, Zhua Meiyan arranged for Zhua Yeming, Wang Zhe, and Lin Gu to search the entire coffee shop. They couldn't find any clues about Su Yun. 3 hours had passed since the incident. Ruan Qingshuang and Xia Qiuyu both noticed that Su Yun wasn't around. Zhua Meiyan knew that she couldn't hide it anymore. She prepared to tell them everything she had seen. At that moment, the security captain ran over in a panic to report a piece of news. Chairman Su had fainted and was being brought over by a taxi. Lin Gu was the first to run out of the office, and the rest followed closely behind. Su Yun had fainted. This caused their hearts to be in their throats. The taxi driver wanted to scold them for taking so long to bring him out, but Lin Gu grabbed him by the collar. What's wrong with my brother? The taxi driver froze. How would I know? Did he drink too much? He's unconscious in the middle of the day. If someone didn't give me 500 yuan to bring him here, and if he wasn't breathing normally, I wouldn't have dared to take this job. Who told you to bring him here? Lin Gu continued to ask. At that moment, Zhua Yeming and Wang Zhe had already carried Su Yun out of the car. Su Yun was like a person in deep sleep. No matter how Ruan Qingshuang shook and shouted, he didn't respond. The taxi driver was stunned by Lin Ji's questions. Yeah, who told him to bring him here? Why didn't he remember anything? I forgot, the taxi driver said in surprise. Lin Ji's frown deepened. You forgot. Who told you to bring him here? You don't remember. You should at least remember where you got on the taxi, right? The taxi driver fell into a daze. He felt like he had drunk a bottle of oblivion. He couldn't remember anything about the unconscious passenger in the car. He had no idea who took him to the taxi or where he got on the taxi. He couldn't remember anything. I really don't remember. Why don't I remember anything? The taxi driver panicked. Luckily, he remembered his name and remembered to stop at a red light and continue driving. You. Lin Gu wanted to ask more, but he was stopped by Zhua Meiyan. Zhua Meiyan whispered to Lin Gu, he's not lying. Now is not the time to pursue this matter. Let's go back and see what's going on with Su Yun. This was because he saw that the taxi's meter showed the number 683. 83. Lin Gu let go of the taxi driver and went back with them. The taxi driver also noticed his meter. He only remembered that he had driven a short distance. How could it only be 680 yuan? He looked at the gas gauge and saw that it was almost empty. Wasn't this too exaggerated? Hey! You haven't paid yet. The taxi driver opened the door and got out, but he was stopped by the security captain. The security captain glared at him. You just said that someone gave you 500 yuan. Why are you so nosy? Do you want to earn more? But I ran for more than 600 yuan. The taxi driver glared at him. The security captain snorted. Even if you drove 1,000 yuan, it has nothing to do with us. Hurry up and leave. If you don't blame me for being rude. Chapter 897. When Su Yun opened his eyes, it was already 7:30 the next morning. Ruan Qingxuang and Zhuo Meiyan had stayed up all night, and their eyes were slightly swollen. Su Yun only felt dizzy, as if he had been hit by a stick. However, just as he woke up, it was as if he had slept for too long. His brain had turned into paste, and the throbbing pain in his temples made him feel that he should sleep a little longer. Seeing that Su Yun had finally woken up, Ruan Qingxuang's heart finally settled down. She had been very worried since Su Yun had been sent home by a taxi yesterday. Zhuo Meiyan had asked her brother to personally drive the most prestigious old Chinese doctor in Jibei to take his pulse. However, the old Chinese doctor said that there was nothing wrong with Su Yun. It was just the pulse of an ordinary person sleeping. There was nothing wrong with it. However, Ruan Qingxuang couldn't be at ease. Not to mention Su Yun, even ordinary people wouldn't sleep so deeply. Even when Zhuo Yeming and Wang Zhe carried him all the way, he didn't have any reaction at all. The old Chinese doctor was also very puzzled. A person who could sleep like this must have taken at least an entire bottle of Valium. However, he couldn't tell that Su Yun had any symptoms of ataxia. After taking a blood test, everything was normal. Therefore, he concluded that there was nothing wrong with Su Yun. He asked the old Chinese doctor how to wake Su Yun up. The old Chinese doctor said, when he wakes up, he will naturally wake up. If I can't see anything wrong with him, even if you send him to the hospital in Zongnanhai, they definitely won't be able to see anything wrong with him. The old Chinese doctor wasn't bragging. When he was still in the hospital, there was a long queue of people all over the country begging to be his specialist. Although he was retired now, there were still people who asked him to take a look at their problems. If it weren't for his deep friendship with Zhang Taisui, he wouldn't have personally taken Su Yun's pulse and treated his illness. Because of her relationship with old Taisui Zhang, Zhuo Meiyan firmly believed that the old doctor would not be vague on this matter. Since he had said so, she could only do so. Wait until Su Yun wakes up, let him sleep enough. Although Zhuo Meiyan felt that Su Yun might have been bewitched, she had no choice but to wait for the results. However, she made the right choice. Su Yun finally opened his eyes after sleeping for nearly 16 hours. Thank the heavens, it seems that the King of Hell really doesn't care about your little life. Zhuo Meiyan finally relaxed. She hadn't had a sip of water for the entire night. When she opened her mouth to speak, she felt a burst of pain in her throat. Su Yun sat up and looked at the sun that had begun to shine and heat up not long after it rose. How long have I slept? 16 hours, Ruan Qingxuang said worriedly. We were almost scared to death. What happened? Lin Gu also looked at Su Yun expectantly. What kind of demon was the black magic master he had killed? He was worried that Su Yun had been bewitched. He felt uneasy because he was worried that if Su Yun had been bewitched, he wouldn't know who to ask for help. 16 hours. Su Yun twisted his stiff neck. It seems that he had enough time to leave Huaxia and go to Nanyang. Everyone asked in unison, who? After asking this question, everyone immediately had an answer in their hearts. However, if Su Yun didn't say it himself, they wouldn't dare to believe the answer in their hearts. The person you killed, Su Yun said to Lin Gu. Lin Gu was completely convinced. He had finally seen what it meant to come back from the dead. From now on, he would no longer be so dismissive of any bizarre matters that he encountered. This was because he had seen people from another world. Su Yun briefly told everyone about the black magic master, Wu Tian, and the relationship between him and Wu Zong, Wu Tian's father, who had also come back from the dead. He also told everyone about the hatred between Wu Tian and the Japanese. Only then did everyone slowly come to understand the situation. However, Su Yun couldn't remember where he had gone with Wu Tian yesterday. He had completely forgotten about the hotel. Just like the taxi driver, Su Yun couldn't remember where he had seen Wu Tian. Luckily, Wu Tian didn't erase his other memories. So you're saying that you've become friends with that evil guy? Zhua Yeming's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Great, his future brother-in-law was really something. He didn't know if there was anyone in the world that he couldn't handle. He could even handle an evil black magic master in Nanyang, and he even had a relationship with his father. Tiske, he was really something. Su Yun didn't answer, but he didn't deny it either. No matter what, at least Wu Tian didn't have any ill intentions towards him. He didn't care about the previous conflicts with him, and he didn't come looking for trouble with Lin Gu. That was enough. If they were friends, then so be it. Su Yun didn't want to have such a mysterious and unpredictable enemy. Moreover, his father, Wu Zong, had saved Su Yun's life in Nanyang. Su Yun owed the Wu family a favor, but that didn't mean that Su Yun regretted saving Iguchi Nagako. Even if he knew that Wu Tian was Wu Zhang's son, he would still think of ways to stop him from doing anything to Iguchi Nagako. Because Iguchi Nagako was a righteous Japanese, not a shameless scoundrel led by that old dog and pay. To be honest, a few days ago, the Japanese hyped up the unusual proximity between the two countries' military. They were simply ignoring the facts and making false accusations. They were simply shameless. The Japanese cabinet led by Pei only knew how to spread rumors, slander, and create hype every day, exaggerating the so-called threat of China, fanning the flames, and pulling the hearts of the stupid neighbors who were eating China's charity but still wanted the world to be in chaos. Those Vietnamese and Filipino leaders didn't even use their stupid pig brains. During the era of helping Vietnam fight against the US, Hoa Xia had given Vietnam a lot of food, weapons, and bullets. In 10 years, the People's Liberation Army of Hoa Xia had lost more than 1,100 soldiers in Vietnam, and 4,200 were injured. Now, the Vietnamese seemed to have forgotten those who had truly helped them and had become ingrates. As for the Filipino people, they were even more speechless. They were originally America's dogs. Hoa Xia had given them $5 billion in benefits, but they didn't get any kind response. Just treat it as feeding a dog. Unfortunately, this dog didn't even know how to wag its tail. Su Yun really hoped that Wu Tian had cast black magic on that old dog and pay. That way, Japan wouldn't be so stupid again and again. Without the stupid Japanese regime causing trouble in Asia, other countries wouldn't have so many crooked thoughts. People were heart to heart with each other, and so were countries. People had gentlemen and smiles, and so did countries. Hoa Xia had been a gentleman for too many years, hoping to use magnanimity to reform these small countries. Unfortunately, the political power of some countries had always been in the hands of idiots and scoundrels. From the looks of it, the people of Hoa Xia were still very wise. At least all their leaders were qualified and capable, and not like Japan, who elected a group of idiots to power. What are you thinking about? Why aren't you answering my question? Are you really friends with that black magic master? Zhua Meiyan patted the back of Su Yun's hand. He won't cause trouble for us, especially Dove. After all, he slit his neck. Chapter 898. Lin Gu shuddered at the thought of it. Not only did the person he killed come back to life, but he even came looking for him. If it wasn't for Su Yun's miraculous encounter in Nanyang, he might have been under the influence of Wu Tian's black magic. He might even be drinking gasoline uncontrollably right now. Lin Ji's scalp went numb at the thought. Brother, he erased part of your memory. You don't even remember where he's hiding. Will he really let go of our previous conflict? If he doesn't, I'm afraid I won't be able to come back unscathed. Ruan Qingxuang, who was beside Su Yun, shook her head with heartache and said softly, "You were unconscious for more than 10 hours, and you still dare to say that you're fine. Don't do such dangerous things in the future. You almost worried me to death." Su Yun comforted Ruan Qingxuang with a gentle gaze. He seemed to be saying that he was fine now. Then, he said to Lin Guo, "If I'm not wrong, he won't waste time staying in Huaxia. He might already be in Nanyang." Zhuo Meiyan didn't say anything. She was searching for something on her tablet. After Su Yun said that, she placed the flight schedule in front of everyone. Maybe that person really left. When Su Yun woke up, the flight to Nanyang had just landed. This was definitely not a coincidence. Lin Gu sucked in a cold breath. He was glad that the Black Magic Master didn't hold it against him. Otherwise, he would have a headache. It wasn't a good feeling to live in a state of vigilance every day. As the old saying goes, don't be afraid of a thief stealing, but be afraid of a thief remembering. It was like a primary and secondary school parent meeting. The scariest thing for a naughty child with poor grades wasn't facing his parents who stood in front of him after the meeting. Instead, it was the time when his parents were having a meeting at school while he could only wait at home to be scolded and beaten. As the saying goes, death wasn't scary. What was scary was waiting for death. If it weren't for those pathetic clowns in the Japanese cabinet, perhaps Wu Tian wouldn't have taken revenge in Japan. When Su Yun said this, his heart was heavy. Why can't the Japanese government get a normal leader? First, there was Koinu Fool Ichiro, and now there was this old dog Ampere. They were all scoundrels dressed like dogs. Su Yun felt sorry for the Japanese. If this nation had some outstanding leaders who dared to face history and acknowledge it, they would not be like this. Right now, apart from Japan's strong production capabilities, there was nothing that the Japanese had done that was recognized internationally. Looking at the current Dongying, it was a pitiful country led by a group of shameless scoundrels occupying a pathetic government. "I don't know if it's the right time, but I want to tell everyone something," Ruan Qingxuang suddenly said. "There's a pot of qi consolidating grass that has sprouted." This was definitely good news for Su Yun. Everyone followed Ruan Qingxuang to her office. Looking at the green leaves that had sprouted in the pot, their hearts were filled with unconcealable excitement and hope. This touch of green was like the color of life. It filled Su Yun with infinite energy. He knew that the more green there was in the pot, the higher the chances of him regaining his strength. Right now, their top priority was no longer the qi consolidating grass or the threat of the tame headmaster, but Huangfu Gua. This person was the key. Without him, there would be no qi consolidating pill. Not to mention Su Yun's medical knowledge. Even if they invited Wu Qiuzi and Yi Lan, the two giants in the medical world, they still wouldn't be able to do it. "Brother, there's no time to lose. We should leave as soon as possible," Lin Gu said. Su Yun nodded. Indeed, the most important thing was to find Huangfu Gua. Regardless of whether he would help or not, if they couldn't find him, there was no point in talking about the next step. "Let's split up and look for people who can help us." Lin Gu nodded. "I'm going back to the island now to ask the old man about the situation. Although he and Huangfu Gua aren't friends, they have some friendship." Su Yun nodded, but he didn't know who to look for. After all, Huangfu Gua was one of the 3 emperors in the underground world. Other than Lu Xuanji and the other old bones, who might give them clues and information, it was difficult to get anything valuable from others. However, Su Yun didn't plan to stay idle. He knew that it wasn't easy to find Huangfu Gua, so he had to go to Nanjiang during this time to find Ruan Qingxuang. The last news they had of Ruan Chao was in a casino in Nanjiang. Although Hua Zhongxiong said that Ruan Chao was surrounded and killed, they didn't see the final result. Holding on to the last glimmer of hope, Su Yun decided to go with Ruan Qingxuang personally to find out the truth. Even if it was confirmed that Ruan Chao was really dead, it was necessary to go. Otherwise, Ruan Qingxuang would never be able to resolve this matter. When everyone left Jibei, Zhuo Meiyan smiled bitterly. Although Su Yun had officially become the head of Sky Entertainment Group after the ribbon cutting at the Qingdao Film and Television Plaza, he still needed her to shoulder the responsibility for him in the end. Of course, Su Yun knew Zhuo Meiyan's hard work, but he really didn't have the energy to share the burden of Sky Entertainment. Before leaving, Su Yun wanted to say something, but Zhuo Meiyan pressed 2 fingers on his mouth and said, "I didn't do all this to listen to those words that make me feel distant. I can understand everything you do. You don't have to worry about whether you can handle it. There's nothing in Sky Entertainment that I, Zhuo Meiyan, can't handle. Even if there is, I still have Sister Feng Ying to help me." What else could Su Yun feel other than gratitude? It was said that having a confidant in life was something that everyone envied. For Su Yun, he was already enough to make everyone jealous. He didn't just have one confidant. Xia Qiuyu helped Su Yun get the seeds of the qi consolidating grass, so she didn't fail her mission. Seeing that Su Yun and the others were about to embark on a new journey, and she couldn't help much, she also proposed to leave. Of course, before Su Yun helped her find out the cause of her father's death, she wouldn't really leave. She just wanted to travel the great mountains and rivers of her motherland by herself. Wasn't it popular to go on a trip as you wish now? Su Yun and the others were very happy for Xia Qiuyu that she had this idea. If she could relax during the journey and get the temperament she wanted, it would be a wonderful thing. After everyone made the decision, they all embarked on their own journeys. Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang drove to the highway to Nanjiang, and Lin Ge went to the airport alone. Xia Qiuyu didn't want to take a plane, nor did she plan to drive. She said she preferred the feeling of taking a train, because that way she could have time to record the scenery along the way. The first stop she wanted to go to was the Yellow Plateau. Chapter 899. After arriving at the airport, Lin Ge checked the flights. If he took a flight out of Ji Bay, he would have to wait for 15 hours. Now, there was a flight to Shenzhen. 8 hours after arriving in Shenzhen, there would be a flight to the Caribbean. Not only did this save time, but Lin Ge could also try his luck and see if he could meet Feng Ye at Shenzhen Airport. During this period of time, Lin Ge had no time to contact Feng Ye, especially after he knew that he might be targeted by a taming master. He didn't even dare to pick up Feng Ye's calls. He was afraid that Feng Ye would be implicated in his troubles. Therefore, Lin Ge could only suppress his longing and regret. He boarded the plane to Shenzhen. He didn't call Feng Ye in advance. Lin Ge held his phone and stared at the screen. He didn't know if Feng Ye was resting at home or on the way to somewhere. Lin Ge felt that sometimes, fate was a wonderful thing. If they were really fated to be together, then he would go back to Shenzhen based on his intuition, because his intuition told him that he would meet Feng Ye in Shenzhen. Lin Ge knew very well that it wasn't easy to find Huang Fu Guo. It might consume a lot of his energy and time. He wanted Feng Ye to know this. After all, girls all hoped that the man they loved could be by their side. Lin Ge didn't want Feng Ye to feel bitter and sad when she saw Wei Wei and her boyfriend sticking together. "Hello, sir. The plane is about to take off. Please turn off your phone." Under the kind reminder of the stewardess, Lin Ge immediately turned off his phone and put it in his pocket. Then, he gave the stewardess a friendly smile. Ever since Lin Ge and Feng Ye started to talk about friendship, Lin Ji's attitude towards the stewardess became unprecedentedly friendly. Perhaps this was called, "Love me, love my dog." When the stewardess saw Lin Ge smile at her, she was stunned for a moment. Then, she suddenly realized something and opened her mouth wide. You. Are you Shenzhen Airlines Feng Ye's boyfriend? No wonder you look so familiar. Feng Ye showed me your photo before. I am her colleague and her best friend. My name is Bai Shui. If you need anything, just come to me. Don't be shy. Since you are Feng Ye's boyfriend, then you are the son-in-law of Shenzhen Airlines. We are all on the same side. Lin Ge blushed at Bai Shui's generosity. Son-in-law, this title, made his heart feel warm and fuzzy. From the looks of it, Feng Ye had already told her good friend about the matter between her and him. How could Lin Ge not feel happy about this? After the plane took off, the stewardess Bai Shui personally brought Lin Gu a cup of coffee. She looked at the time and said to him with a smile, "Are you going to give Feng Ye a romantic surprise?" Ah! Lin Gu didn't understand what she meant. "Don't play dumb," Bai Shui said. "Half an hour after our plane landed, Feng Ye's flight came back. Don't tell me that you don't even know your girlfriend's flight schedule? Teske. This is a very dangerous signal. You have to understand that our Feng Ye is pursued by many people, especially those new pilots. They are all courting her every day." Lin Gu was both happy and shocked. He was happy because his intuition was right. If he waited a little longer after getting off the plane, he would be able to meet Feng Ye. He was shocked because there were still many people chasing after Feng Ye. How could he not think about it? "Sister Bai, thank you so much for this." Lin Gu said, "I really don't know Feng Ye's flight schedule. I went to Dongying a few days ago. It was really urgent, so I didn't have time to call Feng Ye to ask about her situation." "That's not right," Bai Shui said. "Then you have to thank me. I gave you such important information. You have to treat me to a meal later." Lin Gu nodded. Of course. I will remember Sister Bai's reminder." Since other passengers needed help, Bai Shui didn't say anything more to Lin Gu. Instead, she turned around and went to do her work. Lin Ji's heart was in a mess. Did he have a love rival? It didn't seem right to say that. After all, although he and Feng Ye had a good impression of each other, it wasn't to the point where they would never leave each other. Perhaps this was a test for both Lin Gu and Feng Ye. The reality was like this. Lin Gu wasn't a man who could always stay by a woman's side. If Feng Ye couldn't accept this situation, Lin Gu would rather let go early. It was better than suffering more pain and suffering in the future. While Lin Ji's mind was wandering, the plane was ready to land at Shenzhong Airport. With Bai Shui's reminder, Lin Gu hurriedly got off the plane and waited for half an hour alone. Many times, Lin Gu felt that time flew by quickly. Especially when he was doing something urgent, he felt that there wasn't enough time. He really wanted time to stop. This time, it was different. Lin Gu had never been so eager for time to pass faster, just a little faster. Every time the second hand on the watch shook, Lin Gu felt that it had been a long time. Waiting always felt long. It was so long that it felt like an entire day. In the end, Lin Gu looked at the watch with numb eyes. His thoughts had unknowingly changed to other things. Finding Huang Fu Guo was really too important for him. Would Su Yun be so useless for the rest of his life, relying on Huang Fu Guo's unparalleled alchemy skills? Lin Gu didn't have much confidence, because he knew that the old man hadn't left the sea where he grew up for a long time. Whether or not he had the ability and connections to find Huang Fu Guo was unknown to Lin Gu. But he had no other choice. After all, the three kings had reached the Sky Xian realm. Even the divine mathematician Gu Zueran and the all-knowing man in Zhonghu Ma Saner couldn't do it without any clues. Huang Fu Guo had disappeared from the underground world for 2 years. During this time, it wasn't that no one wanted to find him. Gu Zueran and Ma Saner had also received such requests, some of which were extremely expensive. But they had no choice. They didn't know, and they couldn't figure it out. It was as if Huang Fu Guo had really evaporated from the earth, completely disappearing from the world. However, everyone knew that an expert like Huang Fu Guo couldn't have met with any accidents. Because, in the underground world, other than one person whose strength was on par with Huang Fu Guo, there was no other person who could be his opponent. Only 2 of the 3 kings were left. After Su Bo's death, no one could replace him. The most popular person, Hell King Lang Chen, had also died an unnatural death. As for the cause of death, no one knew. Many people guessed that one of the 2 kings had done it, but no one saw it, and no one dared to confirm this rumor. However, Su Yun and the others were very clear that this matter had nothing to do with the 2 supreme kings of the underground world, because it was Su Yun who had killed Lang Chen with his own hands. Lang Chen's death had indeed caused quite a stir in the underground world. The remaining 7 kings who were still alive were all shocked by this matter. Lin Gu sank into his own world, his thoughts constantly drifting further and further away. Suddenly, someone patted him on the shoulder. "You really surprised me." "Ah." Lin Gu suddenly came back to his senses. He stood up abruptly and looked at Fong Ye, who was standing in front of him. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. "I met Bai Shui just now. She said that you took her flight and were waiting for me here. I thought she was joking with me," Fong Ye said generously, "but I thought about it carefully and decided to confirm it. Otherwise, I would have missed you if I left directly." Lin Gu scratched his head. "You must be hungry. I'll treat you to a meal." Fong Ye stuck out her tongue. "Sure, but don't go to a luxurious place like Xingkai Hotel. It's too extravagant and wasteful." To be honest, Lin Gu was prepared to take Fong Ye to eat at Xingkai. After all, it didn't cost money to eat there. Since Fong Ye said so, he couldn't say anything more. "Okay, you pick the place. I'll treat you. Then let's go to Tian Fu Sichuan restaurant to eat Sichuan food," Fong Ye said straightforwardly. Then, she asked Lin Gu, "How long are you planning to stay in Shenzhen?" I have a week's rest." Lin Gu looked at his watch. "I'll be leaving in 4 hours. I've already booked the plane ticket." Fong Ye's face was instantly filled with disappointment. "Where are you going?" At this time, a young pilot in uniform walked over. He ignored Lin Gu and greeted Fong Ye directly. "Fong Ye, I want to treat you to a meal. You keep saying that you don't have time. Do you have time now?" For some reason, Lin Gu suddenly had an idea in his mind and he acted on it. He stood up and blocked Fong Ye behind him. He said to the young and handsome pilot, "I'm sorry. After eating with Fong Ye, we're going to the Caribbean Sea for a 7-day tour. I'm afraid she really doesn't have time." The young and handsome pilot looked at Fong Ye with a disappointed face. Fong Ye didn't say anything. She was already confused by Lin Gu. A 7-day tour of the Caribbean Sea? "I'll take you to see the place where I grew up," Lin Gu said to Fong Ye seriously. There was no danger this time, so why couldn't he take Fong Ye with him? He could also let the old man see his girlfriend. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.